Hello and welcome to Stafford, Virginia, where a state title berth is on the line as Colonial Forge hosts Oscar Smith in the VHSL 6A state semifinals. Hi, football fans. I'm Jeremy Huber, joined by Emery Hunt. And Emery, this one all about a rematch. These two teams met last year at this same level, and it was Oscar Smith on their home field getting the 27-20 win. They'll do it again today.
And rematch games are all about adjustments and what can you do differently. Little wrinkles thrown in for the second time you come around. That's why I'm excited to see this game play out.
This is an interesting one again, played at Oscar Smith last year. The Tigers went on a late touchdown, a game that Colonial Forge really thought they should have got out of, gave up some uncharacteristic special teams things, other things that helped them lose the game. We'll see if they can clean that one up today. Let's go ahead and take a look at our keys to the game, Emery, and I think we'll go ahead and to start off with Oscar Smith. What do they need to do to get the win?
Well, the Eagles have to come out and set the tone early. They have to make sure they stay efficient as well. You don't have to really come out and try to win the game right away in the first quarter, but stay efficient, work your passing game efficiently, and move on. And you also have to excel on special teams. I'm sorry for the Eagles here at Colonial Forge. No special teams plays a lot of ties right into my point I made about Oscar Smith. They have to play great defense. It's about getting off the field, getting those early stops, and they can win that game and stay productive on offense, which ties into the second point of playing great defense, because if you give that offense of the Eagles more swings at the tree, they're going to push it down, they're going to knock it down, they're going to score a lot of touchdowns. So playing great defense can help them be productive on offense.
And, of course, it's interesting. A block punt played a key role in that. Normally, Colonial Forge's special team is very good, but a team like Oscar Smith, so many athletes, could be a thing today. Let's take a look at our players to watch in this one. Talk about the athletes. Let's start right there at the linebacker spot, Keyshawn Artis.
Keyshawn Artis is a Virginia Tech commitment, a guy that's an outstanding linebacker. We'll see some time also in the backfield at 6 feet 230. He's a tremendous player, and I'm excited to see him get out here and compete in this playoff game.
Let's go ahead and take a look at our next player to watch. That's the running back, Khalid Wilson.
Short but not small. He's a pretty yoked-up guy, really strong, but he has a lot of quickness, a lot of speed, and he could be one that if you give him out, let him get outside, as evident by his 17 touchdowns, he could take it the distance.
And also 1,000 yards on the season, filling in for the injured D'Angelo White. We'll get into that later on in the broadcast. Our third player to watch, it's a guy who does it in the defensive backfield, Cameron Kelly.
You don't see guys at 6'2" playing cornerback, and he's also going to be a guy that can play receiver, quarterback, all kinds of plays and positions for this football team. You see right there the 2 interceptions, one going back for a touchdown. When you have that size and that length at that position, you're going to cause a lot of problems.
Also has some big-time offers on his plate already, including Alabama and Clemson. Let's take a look at our players to watch for Colonial Forge. We start with the quarterback, the point guard, Ethan Garwood.
And he's a guy, like you mentioned, the point guard. He's going to have to be a great distributor of the football today in this ball game. Again, being efficient, and what he can do on the ground could also help him have much more success in the passing game.
You see what he can do, sometimes prone to the turnover, but also prone to the big play. Our second player to watch, it's the guy who makes so many big plays for this team, Josh Surratt.
I love Josh Surratt, man. He's an outstanding receiver. He can take a short pass a long way. He's going to be the deep threat in this ball game, and you have to really account for his speed and what he can do after the catch.
Another guy who excels on both sides of the ball. Our third player to watch, the tight end and defensive end, Mitchell Shinsky.
6'4", 245, coming off the edge. He's going to have a big day to really curtail any offensive progress that Oscar Smith wants to run. So this is a guy that I think that's going to have a huge outcome on whether or not this game is going to be won for Colonial Forge.
And you can see right there in the pregame, got a big-time motor, according to Coach Bill Brown. You see it right there. Speaking of coaches, of course, one of the coaches in this matchup for Oscar Smith, it's Scott Johnson. Our Matt Present caught up with him a little bit earlier on.
Thanks, Jeremy. Coach Johnson, this is the 4th time in 5 years you played this team. You've won the last 3. What do you attribute your success to playing Colonial Forge?
They're really well coached. It's a really good football team. I think it just shows how good both programs are. I don't think it's us. I think it's when you get to this time of the year, you look at the teams that are in it right now. You know, Westfield has been in it. Colonial Forge has been in it. We've been fortunate to be in it. I just think it speaks for all of these schools' programs, not just ours.
Last year, last-second touchdown, Sean Mitchell to Khalid Perry. Obviously, those two have departed. How is it different this year in terms of the way you attack this team?
Yeah, we'll find out. We've done a lot of things throughout the season. We've tested different things. We've toured with different things. And, it's really to get ready to play a team like Colonial Forge, who's really solid defensively. And we're going to try to attack them a couple. We've got some things that we think we can try to do on them, and that's where we're going to go for them.
Thanks, Coach. Best of luck here today.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it.
Jeremy, back up to you.
Thanks, Matt. Our national anthem. National anthem by the Colonial Forge Band, and almost ready for football here. Interesting storyline in this game today, folks, is a late season addition, you could say, for this Oscar Smith team, as Braquan Harrell, a standout player over at Western Branch, transferring in, and he made a physical move. He's set and in uniform today, expected to play at least a little bit in this matchup for Oscar Smith. Talking about that addition, our Matt Present had a chance to chat with Coach Johnson about Harrell joining this team.
Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, a complete surprise to Coach Johnson. He didn't even know about the addition until Tuesday morning when Harrell walked into the guidance office. Now, 4 days, not a ton of time for a player to get caught up to speed, but he is expected to play, or at least might play, on defense. He will not start in this game, but regardless, the Colonial Forge students, they're having a bit of fun with this addition, saying, hey, your coach needs some extra help. Guys, we'll see if he has an impact out there today.
Thank you, Matt. And again, Emery, we go to you, the old big-time player. You know, it's interesting here, coming over into a new system. Obviously, we saw it with Deion Sanders back in the day. Corner is one of those spots, especially if you play a lot of man, you can kind of jump into quickly. But how hard is that to come in to a defense and try to contribute, really not knowing anything about the team and having 3 days of prep?
That's going to be real hard because it's all about communication on the back end. We saw a team in New Orleans have an issue against the Los Angeles Rams when their rookie cornerback was out of commission. So now you bring in a new guy, tremendous athlete, tremendous talent. Can he communicate with the guys on the back end? And you don't even know what their strengths and weaknesses are, so that way you can then compensate or overcompensate for what may be lacking. So this is going to be interesting.
Of course, Harrell, a guy that played quarterback over at Western Branch. Don Brooks kind of entrenched in that spot for Oscar Smith. Let's take a look at our starting lineups. We'll start with the offense for Oscar Smith. And again, the Tigers, plenty of talent. We talked about the quarterback, Dominique Brooks, but a lot of guys to watch there.
Isaiah Mays is the guy that I think stirs the drink up front for Oscar Smith, the center. Keep an eye on what he can do from a calls standpoint and initial blocks to get that offensive line on pace. If he can create things up front going on the inside, they can help out this offense immediately.
Jarius Howard, leading receiver for this Oscar Smith team. Let's take a look at the Tigers defense, and a lot of talent there as well.
TJ Tucker, outstanding linebacker, is going to be another guy that's going to have a lot of action today. You look at what he can do from a speed perspective, and when you have a guy like Keyshawn Orders, Horace Sawyer, and TJ Tucker, you're cooking with gas right now in that second level of your defense.
And let's look at the starting lineups for Colonial Forge. And again, we talked about Garwood and Surratt, but another guy to watch there, Liam Coffin.
Absolutely, and this is the guy that's going to have to be a big-time playmaker in this ball game. When that offensive line creates space, it may not be a lot of space, but he has the athleticism to take that short crease a long way.
Also some good linemen up front, led by Aiden Gilson. Let's look at the defensive starters for this Colonial Forge team. And the guy I'm really excited about, Nigel Reddick. Really nice body, a lot of athleticism.
And you talk about a 3-4 defense, getting 4 linebackers out there. That's a rarity in high school football. So when you have that amount of talent at the second level, you're going to be in a lot of good situations defensively, and I'm excited to see him play as well.
And I tell you, it's almost Parcellian when it comes to some big linebackers. You'll see that today, big linebackers, especially for the high school football level. Let's take a look at how these teams got here in the brackets here in the 6A in the VHSL. Oscar Smith end up with a win over Cox going through Ocean Lakes, and That game against Cox was very close, and Oscar Smith really has had blowouts ever since as they were able to go ahead and rout Ocean Lakes 31-6. Lansdowne, the top team in their region, blew them out 38-0. So again, right now, Smith pretty hot after some tough times early. On the other side of the bracket, when you talk about Colonial Forge, they had a bye. We're a little bit rusty coming out against River Bend, but ever since they have been good. Big win last week over Manchester, 48-27. Colonial Forge won the toss. They will receive. They are in the black today with the neon green numbers and the white helmets, while Oscar Smith in their traditional white jerseys with blue helmets, blue lettering, and some yellow piping. It's the Tigers against the Eagles for a berth in the state championship. So glad to be bringing you this one today on the NFHS network. Here's the run-up by Aziz Attar, and we are underway. Deep kick going to be taken by Josh Surratt at his 6-yard line, looking for a seam. Surratt has one, gets a block, cuts it back, and he's going to be pulled down just across the 40-yard line. That's the type of playmaker that Josh Surratt is.
And we talked about that speed. You saw it right there on that opening kickoff. Had one more guy to beat, and he was going to be off to the races. So good starting field position right here for the Eagles.
And we see there, just got that seam. But again, Emery, against this Oscar Smith team, these guys have some makeup speed as well.
The recovery is always important when you're playing a team like Oscar Smith.
So here we go. Coffin in the backfield alongside Ethan Garwood on the season. Garwood, 23 touchdowns, swings it out to Coffin. He'll bobble it in a little tough pass, a little high and outside.
Those are the plays they're going to have to make. You saw him wide open immediately. Make that decision quickly. Take what the defense gives you, and that way you stay ahead of the chains. They can't have any bad plays like that against this type of team. They're a good football team. We know they can overcome that, but those are the type of plays you want to start the game with in a positive way.
Coffin, the interesting story, really can move for as big as he is. Actually pulled his hamstring in the regional track meet in the spring. Never completely got healthy till about the middle of the season. Pass out and incomplete. Looking for Zach Kendall on the play. Coverage by Aaron Acevedo.
You can't ask for a better start for Oscar Smith defensively. You have this offense right here in a 3rd and long situation. That's a positive situation for you defensively. Now you can get extra aggressive in getting pressure on the quarterback.
See, again, a little bit of pressure coming up the middle by Horace Sawyer, the linebacker. So 3rd and 10. And to get it across the 50, here's the slip screen, and that is incomplete as they were looking for receiver Keenan Burgess, but couldn't make the catch, and maybe some early jitters for Forge.
We saw 2 drops on this series and a pass that was errant going to the outside. So that passing game, like you talked about, the jitters coming out, opening game, playoff atmosphere, is cold outside, but that's not an excuse for these receivers to not catch the football.
Here's Aaron Acevedo back deep. Jaden Redding, all-conference kicker for Colonial Forge. Low snaps, got to pick it up. Now he's got to run with it. Can he punt it away? He's going to end up getting tackled as he slides down at the 35-yard line, and couldn't get a better start if you're Oscar Smith, or a tougher start if you're Colonial Forge.
This is where you learn a lot about your football team, overcoming early mistakes and miscues, and we just saw 4 straight plays of miscues for Colonial Forge. And again, just a great job defensively on the special teams by staying active and forcing him to make a bad decision with that football. He didn't really have to panic, and I think that's what happens when you're out there and the adrenaline's pumping and you don't know what to do with the football. They forced him into a bad decision, as we see what happened last time they met, December 3rd last year.
And of course, special teams played key in that. Block punt kind of helped change things around. Here's Oscar Smith as they'll shift, look like a wing T set. They shift out of it. Go spread. Flag goes down. And this looks like it might be an illegal participation. Going to be delay a game. Wow.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it didn't look like they had a lot of time to get set up there, but I'm sure Colonial Forge will take it.
Let's make that 5 negative plays in a row that we've seen so far to start this game.
Early jitters. Now this time Smith comes out, showing their cards completely with 5 wide receivers. Brooks looking to throw, little pressure, throws it deep, and it's going to be picked off. Ian Ector with the pick. And just like that, Colonial Ford's back in business.
Just a great job by Ector locating the football and using that 6'1" frame going up high to make the catch at its highest point. It bugs me to no end when you see defensive backs that don't turn around and find the football. That's not the case here. As you're going to see on this replay, just a great play on the ball. Aaron throw. Pressure may have affected that throw. Going up, get the ball, getting it back to your offense. Now you have another chance to get out here and do things positively on your second series.
Yeah, talking to Coach Brown during the week, said, look, Ian Ector got a turnover chain. They got the Miami thing going there, but said, he's a tall corner. He's really only been looked at by small schools, but really can play. Here's the handoff. Surratt off right tackle off that buck sweep, and he's brought down right at the line of scrimmage.
That's just a great job right there defensively. You talk about big number 55, Kyle Thomas, 6'3", 260, a senior, just holding his own right up front and not sacrificing that gap and being right there to make that stop.
Thomas, a guy who had committed to Rutgers, reopened his commitment. Looking to schools like that, App State, Buffalo also, the defending FCS champs, JMU, also with an offer out to him. 2nd and 9, they'll call it. Coffin breaks a tackle, runs over a man, ends up almost out to the 30-yard line, and that's the explosiveness and power of Liam Coffin.
And that's how you keep your legs moving going through contact. You saw how Oscar Smith played that defensively. They were in the backfield as soon as he got the handout, but his strength and explosiveness allowed him to break that tackle and pick up positive yards.
So they kind of eased him back in at the running back spot. When he came back from his hamstring, he was playing linebacker. Up the middle again goes Coffin, and I believe he has first down yardage on the gain of 2.
That's how Bill Parcells said. That's why you lift all them weights. That's exactly why right there. You saw him just move the power. And you talk about good size up front for Oscar Smith. Good strength on that defensive line. He's pushing that power and picked up the first.
Yeah, only played in 7 games this year. As you take another look at that turnover chain, stolen from the University of Miami, but a great idea. Motion goes Surratt. Here's Garwood, pressure on him, throws and completed out to the 50-yard line, making the grab, DJ Dennis.
Great grab by Dennis and great route. He came across the formation and caught that football all hands. But I love when the quarterback is able to throw accurately on the move. That's a very underrated trait, and you saw him do that on this play. You saw him get outside the pocket, locate the receiver, and fire a dart to the sideline.
Talking to some of the local press, said, look, he's a guy that makes big plays. He also can be prone to the turnover, has to play smart. Garwood taking off, trying to keep the play alive. Now he'll just get down. Face mask got twisted. He's looking for a penalty. Referee does not agree.
And you talk about playing smart right there by Garwood. He saw a guy start to break late down the field, his receiver. He did the smart thing, didn't force that football, just took the yardage right there and it puts him in a 2nd and 9 situation as opposed to throwing the football away or throwing it into the defense.
Looked like Artis got a piece of the face mask, definitely dislodged the helmet. Here's Garwood setting up the screen as he gets it out to Coffin, but there's the athleticism of Artis to make that play, limit it to maybe a 4-yard gain.
You talk about sideline to sideline speed and acceleration. Virginia Tech is getting him a really good linebacker right there in Artis.
And we kind of talked about this pregame, Emery. When you play a team like Oscar Smith, things that you really can do to most of the teams on your schedule, you can't do it to them because of the athleticism they bring.
Right, you have to really be perfect in your execution because they can overcome any mistakes you make because of their athleticism.
Here's Garwood looking over the middle. He's got a man, and he's got a completion. That's Dennis down to the 10, brought down at the 5-yard line.
Great anticipatory throw right there by Garwood. Right before Dennis got out of his break, he was able to fire that football in there on that skinny post, and he was able to take it down inside the 10-yard line.
So big play there for Colonial Forge all the way down to the 5. Now they line up in the traditional wing T formation with the backs up on the line of scrimmage. Sometimes you see 2 backs in the backfield. They have both up as Coffin's your deep back. He gets it, bangs through, and he'll be brought down after a gain of 2 on the play.
See, we go back to that replay right there. Great anticipation by Garwood. Linebacker was in a no-win situation because that ball was thrown well before he got out of his break, which put him at a disadvantage and ended up being a big play.
42-yard pass. Now 2nd and goal. As See plays coming in from the sidelines. As Forge lines up, may have to go ahead and get this one going. We saw that quick clock on Oscar Smith earlier. Here comes the blitz. Coffin hit in the backfield and brought down. Initial penetration stopped him, and then making the play was Kyle Thomas.
Yeah, big 55 Kyle Thomas. Again, that's the second play he's made on this series, and you can see why Rutgers wanted him and many other schools want his services. This is a guy that is able to get off blocks. And again, the initial contact was made right there by number 58, but Thomas staying home cleans up the mess and brings him down on the ground.
And blitz overwhelmed Wilhelm up front. Now here's Surratt trying to get to the outside. He's hit and brought down. Maybe a gain of one, if that. The Oscar Smith defense rising up when called upon.
And that's Cameron Kelly right there, the 6'1", 195-pound defensive back, flying up like a linebacker and making that stop. And this is to your point, when you're facing guys that are great athletes like Oscar Smith has in abundance, you have to be perfect. You can't miss a block. You can't be off on any faction. Otherwise, they're going to make you pay, and they make them pay here on this series, forcing field goal.
So here's Redding. Ball will be spotted at the 9. Kind of a crazy angle. Put down. Kick is up. And Redding boots it through. So Colonial Forge turns the 42-yard pass into 3. And they draw first blood here in this 6A state semifinal.
It's a great drive right there. Again, making something happen, making the team pay for turning the ball over. And, again, points add up. So whether it's 3 or touchdown, it's good to come away with points on the drive.
Let's send it down to our Matt Present.
Thanks, Jeremy. You saw throughout that drive mostly a spread look from Coach Brown, but once they got towards the goal line, he went back to that wing T that you mentioned, and it's really an interesting old school versus new school thing that he battles. An old school coach, no doubt, inducted in the Virginia High School Hall of Fame way back in 2001, but he's really adapted with the times, really gone to more of a spread look. That's his dominant offense, and he does it for 2 reasons. One, because he wants to prepare these kids for the college game. That's much more of a spread these days, but also he wants to make his program more attractive to the players coming in. But you saw there, down to the goal line, he's going to go back to the wing T. We'll see how that balance pans out the rest of the way. Jeremy?
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, Coach Brown, of course, winning back-to-back state championships at Hilton High School. Here's the kick. This will end up in the end zone as Acevedo will grab it and get a touchback, and the Tigers will scrimmage from their 20. It's interesting, just the route to get here. Coach Brown, talking to him, he said, he was actually had retired as a coach at Hilton, had gone ahead and become a principal, and then just kind of got back into it. His son wanted to coach. There was an opening down here. He actually lived down in this area, so came on down and has done some really good things here at Colonial Forge.
It's a very good facility, and I love the field too, man. I went down there pregame. It's a fast track. You can really get into your blocks pretty quickly. So it's just a great facility here, great program, and glad they're having success.
Kind of cool to see they play on natural grass, I should say, here in Stafford. Looks like a face mask up front. I don't think any of the officials saw it on that handoff. As going up the middle was Khalid Wilson, and maybe we'll catch it on the replay. Maybe it was his shirt, but it looked like he really was spun around.
Yeah, they really pulled his jersey off right there. Yeah, it looks like the jersey.
Good job by the refs. Bad job by me.
Getting old, Jeremy.
Yeah. So give Wilson, gain of 5. They'll hand it off to him again. Scat backs his way through for a gain of 2. It'll set up a second and third and short here, I should say.
See, these shorter backs are very tough for a defense because by the time you find them, it's like 4 and 5 yards down the field. So half the battle for a defense is figuring out where the little guy is before you make the stop. So that's the advantage of running a guy that short inside.
So here's your 3rd and 2. Handoff up the middle and just short of the first down, it looks like, as they gave it to their power man, Keon Watson. And I believe he's going to be short. Yes, they'll say 4th down.
Interesting call here because you can see where Pryor could set in and allow you to go for this, and they're going to go for it. It's a little bit too early to take a chance. But if you feel as though you have the Hogs up front, you can lean on this defensive line. So we'll see. This is a big part of the game right here in the first quarter.
They brought in some size. Let's see what Forge can do. They will hand it off and up the middle and threading his way through is Cameron Kelly, and he has first down yardage.
So we've seen him play defensive back. We've seen him come up and hit like a linebacker. Now we see him in the backfield. And I talked to Coach earlier this week. He told me you're going to see Kelly play multiple positions because he's a big part of our football team and what we do to have success.
Yeah, obviously when you have a talent that's being recruited by some of the places that he is, you want to get him involved as much as you can. Kelly remains in. Brooks back to throw, has time, keeps the play alive, and this will be almost intercepted. As getting a hand up was Johnny Walker. That pass intended for Kenny Etheridge.
Johnny Walker did a great job not keeping on walking right there, but he was able to backpedal and bat that ball down. But when you're throwing the football, there's passing windows, and there were about 4 or 5 windows a receiver passed through before he decided to throw that football. He threw it in the last possible window, which allowed the defense to recover and make that pass break up.
You can see Ford only rushing 3, dropping 8 into coverage. Yet to see Brooks take off and try and run. Here's to the outside, and Kelly's got some space. He'll be brought down all the way out at the 40-yard line of Colonial Forge.
It's a great run right there. You saw them get outside because that defensive end was tucked inside underneath that tackle, which made the outside easier to get for the offense. But you're going to see right here, that's what we call beat by alignment. That tackle was able to turn him inside, and it's just a clear lane for Kelly to hit the corner and pick up the first.
Kelly, first team Southeastern District selection as an all-purpose player. Brooks looking to throw, nothing there. He'll try to keep the play alive. Gets outside, he does not get outside. As coming up was this time one of the linebackers, Elijah Lewisant, to make the play.
That's a very tough play to make because, again, you're out there with an athletic quarterback that really knows where he wants to go, and you're at his mercy. And all you have to do is stay sound, stay disciplined, find the hip, and then make the tackle. And that's exactly what he did right there on that play. Great stop in the open field against a very tough player to stop in space.
Previous run by Kelly, 27 yards, but just a 1-yard gain there. Brooks, quick pass out in the flat, close to the sticks, maybe just short, depends on the mark, and Jarius Howard, leading receiver for this Oscar Smith team, with that catch and first down yardage.
I feel like Oscar Smith is waiting or trying to hit the home run ball and missing out on plays just like that. You can slowly work your way down the field. You don't have to get it all back in one play. You're only down 3. You can work your short passing game, then that'll open up things deeper down the field as you move forward.
Here's Brooks. Again, all day to throw, all day to run as well. Shinsky now giving chase, and Brooks going to get out of bounds as Shinsky tattoos him. Also Cawthon, so add 15 to it, but I think maybe we found out why Brooks isn't taking off and running. He looked like he was limping towards the sidelines there.
Yeah, you see right there, he has a little bit of gimp in his giddy up, and you probably saw him get injured on that previous play out in space. The way he fell, the guy fell on the back of his ankle, so we'll see how that affects him moving forward. But again, you saw longer developing routes downfield. Work that short passing game, because right now Colonial Forge is playing excellent defense on the back end, so they're really locking up the deep passing game, and there's nowhere to go with football.
So this is going to move it. See if they go the full 15 or go half the distance, as the ball was spotted, I believe, at the 24. Spot it down at about the 13, so they do go half the distance. So Oscar Smith will still be able to get a first down. They're thinking touchdown as we're running down, close to 3 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Colonial Forge with a 3-0 lead. This is Kelly trying to get to the outside, cuts it all the way back. Can he get a block from his quarterback? He does. Now a flag goes down. It'll be a touchdown, but it looks like it'll come back as Brooks went low.
Yeah, they're going to call that low block now. Back when we played, you could make that block, but now you can't. It's a safety issue, especially going back against the grain like that.
Looks like Nigel Reddick was the guy who got hit low by Brooks. And again, we talk about this all the time in games we do. Right there, that's probably the basketball block play, just getting his way.
Right, just shield him. You don't even have to touch him. That's like blocking the blitzing backer by not blocking the blitzing backer by going out in the route. Same way, It's just about, getting in his way, shielding him, and not touching him, because this will be the result.
So the low block brings back the touchdown. And again, when you talk about sometimes with those athletes of Kelly's stature, they just need you to be in the way. They don't need you to block guys. They can just do it on their own sometimes if you're just a nuisance. So Nigel Reddick, and Reddick is one of those guys, really brings an athletic level to this defense. Looking down the stats for Colonial Forge, they have 3 block kicks on the year. They're all by him. He's got 2 block punts and a block kick. So
that says a lot about his quickness getting off the ball.
Of course, Oscar Smith ending Colonial Forge's season 3 of the past 4 years. Here's a pitch out. Hits right around the line of scrimmage, and getting 2 is Wilson.
Yeah, great defense right there by the Eagles. They were really set up for that play. No one really moved off the ball, and it was just waiting for the running back to run right into him. So he's second and about 23.
Couple swaps up front for that defense. Devontae Randall into the game. Randall, pretty good stats off the bench on the season. Got 27 tackles. Brooks has to pull it down. Tries to get to the outside, trying to keep back in the middle of the field. It'll actually be caught. Still on his feet. Finally, they'll blow the whistle, as making that grab was Keon Watson on a dangerous pass over the middle.
Coaches everywhere are probably slamming headsets, pillows, wherever they're doing, watching this ball game, because that's what they tell you not to do. Throw back late across the middle of the field. It just worked out for them, and it makes it a more third manageable situation at 3rd and 12 and not 3rd and Virginia.
3rd and 12 here. We'll see if this is 4-down territory for Oscar Smith. The car does have a pretty decent leg. There goes Kelly on the counter, and he'll be brought down at the original line of scrimmage. Good job by Coffin to get in there and make the tackle. So let's see the decision made by head coach Scott Johnson. He'll send on the field goal unit.
Yeah, it's always about alignment, assignment, and execution. You saw them get outflanked on that big play on 4th down and earlier in the series with the long run by Kelly. But right there, they did a great job in being assignment sound and making a stop and getting off the field.
So Ziza Tar will come on for the kick. Holders Tyler Smith. 32-yard kick. Flag is down. Kick is no good. Let's see what the penalty's for. So legal procedure. Penalty is declined, and Colonial Forge dodges the bullet.
Big time bullet right there, but again, that's what happens when you have penalties. That big penalty on that series was a low block by the quarterback. You don't normally get that, and that set them up in a bad situation and just capitalized, or ended up being capped off by this missed field goal attempt right here on 4th down.
Had the distance, but not the accuracy. Let's send it down to Matt.
Nigel Reddick, as you mentioned, walked off the field under his own power. He went over to the trainer's table. They're taping up his right ankle. He did walk up under his own power. Seems to be okay. Expected to go back in the game. Jeremy?
Thank you, Matt. Here's Bowen. He hits. So Pyle pushes forward across the line of scrimmage. Give him one on the play.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to run downhill against this Oscar Smith defense. You see a lot of beef right there up front, and if you're not getting any type of movement, you're going to have to start to influence these guys and hit them with trap plays and misdirection, because going straight downhill, you're not going to win that battle more often than not.
So 2nd and 9. Garwood, quick pass out in the flat is complete to Kendall, and he'll push forward for a nice gain all the way out to the 36-yard line, so give him 15 on the play on the quick pass out in the flat.
Those are big plays that don't look like big plays, because, again, they move the sticks, short passes, and that's what you want. Just slowly work your offense down the field, and in the process, they're also working on this clock as we're starting to trickle slowly toward the end of this quarter.
Let's see if Forge will go for it. Looks like they're going to let the clock run out here in the first quarter. It's been an interesting one, full of big plays, and Colonial Forge will lead it as we go to the end of the first. Colonial Forge 3, Oscar Smith, nothing.
Shakespeare said that all the world's a stage and men and women are merely players. But Mr. Shakespeare never met Stephen Curry. Ni hao, the guy who's in the gym every dang day. Patron saint of the underdog, the league's most unguardable player. Bang, he knocks it down. So my apologies to Mr. Shakespeare, because onto the stage of mere players enters the babyface assassin. And he's about to write his own story. Fall back.
Thank you for watching the NFHS Network on Facebook. The NFHS Network has more than 150 high school football playoff games this weekend live at NFHSnetwork.com. Come visit us to catch all the action. Garwood avoids the blitz, goes deep, just throws this one away as he was looking for Kendall down the sideline.
Yeah, he did a great job making that initial rusher miss in the pocket to step up and fire the football and throw it away. You saw the ref toss his hat on the sideline, so the receiver wouldn't have been the first one to touch the ball had he been able to stay in bounds anyway. So a great job just evading the pressure. That's very tough to do. Giving your receiver a shot, man.
You have to like that so far. A couple times Garwood's been able to avoid the pressure just with that move in the pocket. Nothing overly special. Bowen hit in the backfield and brought down. Horace Sawyer coming through for the 2-yard loss.
He's a load, man. He's listed at 5'10", 5'11", 230. He's all of 230, I tell you that, man. The way he's coming downhill, and he's arriving in a bad mood.
So now a 3rd and 12 for Colonial Forge. Garwood, pressure comes, and this time they'll get him. Artis makes the play, takes him down inside the 30 at the 29, so that series didn't go as well as Colonial Forge would have liked.
Big fan of sending more than you can block on 3rd down situations. See right there, just a late pressure. Once he saw that running back offset to the other side, he had the green light to go and blitz and was able to bring the quarterback on the ground. You can see why he's going to Virginia Tech.
So Reading to kick. Oscar Smith puts 2 back. It's Acevedo and Hussey. This time, good snap. Good kick by Reading. High one as Hussey will take it at his 30, looking for the reverse. Doesn't hand it off, but now he may have himself a lane. Shy Hussey may have one man to beat. That's the kicker, Reading. Reading holds him up while the rest of the team comes, but again, good special teams by Oscar Smith. But it looks like we may have a flag down.
Yeah, they may call a block in the back, but he was pointing at Artis to block the kicker. Artis was facing the opposite way. Like, no, block him.
Personal foul on Oscar Smith. So big break again for Colonial Forge. Let's see if we can pick it up.
I think that was your block in the back right there against number 22. You see right here, point at Artis, block him, block the punter. Artis is looking at the scoreboard. Left his man unblocked. He ends up making a tackle.
Going back to my high school days, that punt return, it seems like it's the most simple thing in the world. You just drop back and kind of make a picket fence, but boy, does it work a lot.
Oh, this sure does, man. And I was a punt returner in high school as well, and I never fair caught a football because if you the biggest thing is making the first guy miss. You make the first guy miss, the entire field opens up, and you saw an example of that right there.
So we talked about special teams being a key. Colonial Forge dodged the bullet on their special teams miscue, and on the very next play, Hector was able to make the pick. Handoff going right and being brought down after a gain of 3 as Wilson.
Yeah, right now, Colonial Forge is winning the battle up front in the trenches, and you saw them try to go with a little bit of misdirection there to try to throw off that downward pressure they're seeing, but they're just not winning blocks up front right now. You have to give a ton of credit to the Eagles.
So 2nd and 8, need to get it out across the 30 for a first. Pump fake, now looking deep over the middle. He's got a man, and he's got a big completion. Ball's loose. What will they call on this? They're going to say it's a fumble recovered by Coffin, and Colonial Forge ball.
Wow. You know what? Just as a live view, I thought he took maybe 1 or 2 steps. Now, we're shielded from him and how much control he had on the football. All we see is him from the back, and yes, he took 2 steps. You're going to see right here, catch 1, 2, boom. Good job, good stick. Yeah, that's a fumble.
That was Karan Prunty on the catch, and DJ Dennis with the big play. Dennis is maybe the front runner for our MVP so far. He had that big catch to set up the field goal. Now he knocks the ball loose and not only gives the ball back to his team, but flips field position. Let's see if Garwood and company can take advantage. Quick pass out and looking for Dennis, and he's incomplete.
Miscommunication right there. He was supposed to settle down and shuffle over in the zone, but he stopped short and ran that button hook, and he just threw it to where he thought he was going to be. But it's been a cascade of errors right now for Oscar Smith. That last drive started with a great punt return nullified by a penalty, and then the catch, then fumble. So they've been having a lot of problems, and you have to give a ton of credit to the Colonial Forge defense.
2nd and 10. Garwood's got Cawthon with him in the backfield. Now it gets in the flat. Surratt makes the grab, gets pushed out of bounds just across the 40 for a gain of 8 on the play. So set up a 3rd and short. And it's interesting, Emery, you bring that up, how Oscar Smith just doesn't look sharp today. And when I got here, I think a good 2.5 hours before the game, they were already here. They already had some guys on the field. They had actually petitioned to move the game back. Originally, this was going to be a 2 o'clock start. And you wonder, kind of just being around so long, and usually at this level, they're hosting these type of games at the state semifinal level. Has that thrown them off a bit? Garwood trying to get to the outside. He'll be brought down at the 40 for a loss of a half a yard, so the quarterback run doesn't trick Oscar Smith. And it looks like Bill Brown going to play field position here.
Now you bring up a good point, Jeremy, because we saw them just kind of hanging around as far as, okay, we did our prep, and now what do we do? And the game is not going to kick off at 2:30. So, yeah, you can get cold as a result, and hopefully they wake up at some point in this game. Otherwise, the Eagles can really run away with it.
Acevedo and Kelly are back deep. Acevedo will fair catch it. Inside is 10 at about the 7, so Oscar Smith will be deep in their end to start, but sudden change, the defense comes out well.
And their defense comes out, and they have a situation where they're backing up that offense. So you may see them be a little bit more aggressive in this situation, and you also, on the flip side, may see Oscar Smith use this situation to take a shot deep downfield. We've seen their passing game have some success over the middle of the field. The receiver just has to hold on to the football, so we'll see if they go back to that on this drive.
Very good Colonial Forge secondary, one of the strengths of this team. Good news for Forge, as Kelly will try to get to the outside. He'll be hit and brought down by Surratt, but does get a gain of 7 on the play. Back into the game now is Nigel Reddick, so got that treatment. He's back out on the field. We'll have to keep an eye to see what he's able to do.
It's no longer base blocks. It's now getting guys around. You saw a good power play, pulling that backside guard and leading him around in the hole. Kelly was able to pick up 6 yards or 4 yards on the outside. Good opening, positive play for this team.
6-yard gain on first down. Here comes Kelly again, trying to get to the outside. He will be brought down. I think he lunges across the stick, so be really close as he slid a little bit. DJ Dennis made the tackle, and it will be first down yardage.
Good job pulling those 2 interior offensive linemen. He just beats everyone to the corner. And that 6'1" frame allows him to pick up the first.
Good job there by Omega Williams blocking Shinsky. Nice little reach block to help him get to the corner. Come on, 8 minutes left to go here in the second quarter. Low-scoring game so far. Handoff. And up the middle, spinning out of a tackle, still on his feet. And being pushed out of bounds all the way up across the 30-yard line is Keon Watson. Looked like he was dead behind the line of scrimmage. They made it something great.
Coaches tell you, play until the whistle blows, and that's exactly what one person did on there. Watson did. He kept running, kept his feet pumping, and was able to slip out a couple of tackles and pick up the first.
Plays like that make you think so much, Emory. Guys have to stay in their spots. Guys kind of collapsing in to make the play. Got to stay where you are against a team like that that's so athletic. Here's Brooks. Nothing there. He's got plenty of time, waiting for his receivers to get open. Finally finds a man. It's Kelly. He'll be pushed out of bounds just short of the 40-yard line. Give him a gain of 8 on the play.
That play right there just tied directly into your point because they had everything covered on the back end. Just stay in your spot. Quarterback had nowhere to go with the football. He was waiting for someone to get open. Linebacker came up, and his vacated man was the one that was wide open. So stay in your place, do your job, and things will end up working out for you.
You really see a concerted effort by Colonial Forge. They're just rushing 3, no blitzing. Looks like they're doing their best to keep Brooks in the pocket, making him read coverage and find the open man. Trying to bounce to the outside. This is Wilson. He's got the first down. He's got more. Hit and brought down all the way at the 40-yard line for Colonial Forge. So another big gain. Give him 22 on it.
Yeah, Khalid Wilson showed a good bit of acceleration. He's leaving the game looking like that ankle, but you saw him hit that second gear once he turned that corner and was slicing through traffic.
So we'll have to see. Again, they've got a nice stable of backs, but you take one of them down, especially with the other guys playing a lot on defense. Here's Watson trying to bounce, and this time won't be able to do it. Coming up from the linebacker spot is Liam Coffin to make the tackle.
Just a great job out there on the perimeter, getting off of a block and making the stop. But we see them go more to their running game on this series, which has been successful. So I feel as though when they're trying to go deep down the field, they're trying to go for the home run ball, the hero ball. But plays like this is allowing them to stay in this game.
Say a loss of a half a yard on the play. Watson trying to get outside, gets by one tackler. Coffin can't bring him down, but a big hit by Dennis. And again, they're going to say that's a late hit out of bounds.
I thought they got him for a face mask, too. So there's a lot of issues going on as they run into the near sideline. But Oscar Smith is sticking to the game plan. Hey, we're going to run the football. We're going to try to make things easier for our deep passing game because it's evident and obvious that they want to work touchdown and check down as opposed to what Colonial Forge is doing. They're working their short passing game and moving the football down the field slowly.
They will call a hold and a face mask, so these should offset. And Dennis got away with one. I thought he might have got him late, but they say he was in bounds when he delivered the big hit.
See the face mask right there, the holes on the offensive tackle.
He was in bounds.
Trying to get that reach block, and he kind of got him underneath that shoulder pad and hooked him.
I apologize to DJ Dennis on that one. Thought he gave a late hit, but he had a good yard there, so it's kind of it was an interesting way that he kind of got launched there. Usually you will rarely see a running back get hit like that, that close to the sidelines and not be out of bounds already.
Right.
You know that as an old running back, you never let up like that.
You never let up because you don't want to get blasted on the sideline.
Those defenders like me are coming at you looking for some bad intentions. Here's Brooks trying to keep the play alive. Shinsky coming after him. Now we'll cut it back up the middle. Brooks still keeping the play alive, and now he'll go down all the way back across his own 45-yard line at the 47.
Cameron Kelly was standing on the sideline basically doing jumping jacks, saying, throw me the football, throw me the football. And when he was reversing his field, you kind of thought he was going to see him. But Brooks just didn't see him. Brooks was worried about the pass rush. You see right here on the replay, Kelly was able to leak out in the backfield and had no one in front of him. But Brooks did not look back to his left and didn't see him. Kelly was wide open.
Tell you right now, just kind of an amoeba rush. Looked like Coffin, Max Coffin, the younger of the Coffins, the sophomore, kind of came up, but really almost an amoeba rush, just trying to keep him in the pocket, don't let him break out. And you wonder, is he limping enough where some of these plays would turn into big runs or just trying to become passes? Now he throws this one deep. It's caught near the sticks. They'll say it's complete, but it's 2 yards short to Kenny Etheridge. And now decision time for Oscar Smith.
I think they're going to go for it here because of how that play turned out. That's a great play to get a lot of the yardage back. Makes it even easier to go for it on fourth down. Good throw, good placement right here. Excellent job by the receiver getting both feet in bounds.
About a 17-yard pass to set up a 4th and 2. Smith brings that power set back in. Forrest Sawyer is your fullback. Cameron Kelly will take it to the outside. Kelly's got first down yardage as he's brought down across the 25-yard line down to the 23 as Johnny Walker brought him down. But again, Kelly picking up a huge 4th down.
I was a little worried once I saw that toss. I was like, you know what, that's risky right there, but they trust their best player going up against that very good Colonial Forge defense to pick up the first, and he just did because they had great pursuit and took great angles to the football, but just a better athlete on the opposite side was able to pick up the first.
Coming up on 5 minutes to go here in the quarter. Remember, Colonial Forge won the toss, but elected to receive. Here's Watson up the middle. Watson still on his feet, holding on for dear life on the bottom of the pile. Kept him from breaking that one for a touchdown, but he takes it all the way down to the 10.
And that's an example of a defense playing the guessing game, trying to beat you to the spot to the outside, just left the middle of the field wide open. Good job by the running back seeing that cutback lane and nearly was able to slip through for a touchdown.
I think that was DJ Dennis on that sure tackle. They always say grab something. Luckily he did, or Watson would have been dancing in the end zone. Watson remains in. Now will take the pitch out, trying to get to the outside. And this time Colonial Forge is there to bring him down for no gain.
That is excellent defense right there. That's what you talk about when you're saying playing perimeter defense. You saw the cornerback quickly set the edge, which gave the running back, okay, I can't go outside. Then you saw everyone else take that outside shoulder of the offensive player, and really the back had nowhere to go with the football right there. Set the edge, 2 free defenders come run up and make the tackle, grabbing onto something, like you said, and bringing them down.
So important against a really athletic backfield. You got to grab something. Here's Watson on the counter. This time he's hitting the backfield again. Cawthon and Louisant back there to make the play and cleaned up by Shinsky.
I tell you what, man, you're seeing great defensive play right here. We've seen Oscar Smith get down inside the 20-yard line a couple of times in this ball game, but this defense of the Eagles has really tightened up. Guys are slipping blocks, causing disruption in the backfield, and they have great team recovery. Like, guys are just coming, the second wave of guys are getting there quickly to make the stop, just like you saw in that play.
Bill Brown, head coach of Colonial Forge, was angry about something. Can't figure out what it was. But here's 3rd and goal from the 10. Kelly's in. He's got single coverage down at the bottom of your screen. They're looking for him. And that's going to be complete. Is it a touchdown? Is it dropped? They say incomplete. And Kelly couldn't get his hands underneath.
He tried. That's a heck of an effort right there by Kelly. He's pleading his case, but the ref standing behind the play made the call. It's an incomplete pass. He tried to go back shoulder. Just a good effort by Kelly, but just a good defensive play by Colonial Forge. And we were just blocked by the referee as well, so we couldn't see.
So this one a little shorter than last time for Aziz Attar as he tries to tie this one up. This is maybe the toughest kick in football. It's that near hash for a right-footed kicker, and Oscar Smith doesn't have their personnel out, so they take a timeout. And that's one of those situations, Emery, where if you're a little more confident in your kicker, you may just take the penalty there because you may want to keep the timeout. You may just go ahead and back it up 5. Here's the replay again.
I'm just going to say by the laws of physics, that ball bounced into his hands.
Well, it was actually the official behind the play that made the call. And truthfully, I don't know if he had the best angle either. We'll know more later. Here's Matt.
Jeremy, a tough decision here for Coach Scott Johnson, his first year as head coach. Last season, the man at the helm for Oscar Smith was Bill D. D passed away after resigning from the position after last season's campaign due to cancer. And as you notice on the back of these helmets for the Oscar Smith players, they wear a pink ribbon paying tribute to their former coach, now lining up for the field goal. Jeremy, back up to you.
Thank you much, Matt. Here's Attar. High snap. Get it down. It's blocked. And it's picked up. And Cawthon had all kinds of room in front of him, if not for a touchdown-saving tackle there by the standout, the Virginia Tech commit, Keyshawn Artis. He saved 7 points, Emory.
Oh, man, that was going back the other way. He had a net scored as well, but great job by Ian Ector blocking that kick, man. To block a kick is very tough to do because you really have to, everything has to go perfect. Timing, explosiveness. He got around that corner pretty quickly. It broke through. Oh, no. That was number 15.
That was Reddick.
That was Reddick.
Mr. Kick Block. And again, what a play there, because you see, folks, I mean, there's a lot of speed behind him, but Cawthon's pretty fast, too. He might have taken it all the way. Garwood, swing pass, looking for Bowen, and again, it's behind him.
That play can work if you hit it quickly coming off the snap. And we saw them try that on the opening play of this ball game, in the same result, an incomplete pass. But again, their short passing game has worked. It has helped them move the football down the field. If you're Oscar Smith right now with 3 minutes left in the half, you're thinking we have to generate a turnover. But if you're Colonial Forge, this is where you want to take up the entire 3 minutes and come away with points.
Now, the wing T look as they go to the counter, and that was sniffed out by Oscar Smith. That was Dennis, and he ends up getting hit and brought down. Question now will be, will Oscar Smith start using timeouts? They did take one already on that field goal that was blocked.
It's tough to run misdirection when you can't move guys off the ball. That entire front seven is standing right there just reading that play as it happened.
Good job there. One of the penetrators, but also Jalen Moore to get some penetration and stop the blockers. And again, Garwood will be taken down in the backfield. And now Oscar Smith takes a timeout to save time as he'll get one last bite at the apple before the half.
Yeah, he played that defensive series perfectly, got those 2 quick stops aided by an incomplete pass, which stopped the clock, which allowed him to be aggressive on that third down, second and third down, and really save that timeout. Now you have 2 minutes, 18 seconds left. You're going to get the football back. You may even try to block this kick just because you've had issues moving the football down the field.
Here again, just all kinds of pressure. Ran into his own lineman. But you see some of the folks back there, Horace Sawyer, and really looks like they're starting to bring blitzes and bring pressure that way. It's like Leroy Thomas banged up on the sidelines. He's a key player, was Commonwealth District first team, and as he's kind of favoring his shoulder. So good offensive line for Colonial Forge, but the question will be how deep are they, especially against an athletic front like Oscar Smith. So now it does look like Smith has brought a lot of folks up on the line of scrimmage. He dropped one back. That's Shy Hussey. Redding, good snap. Pressure comes. Good kick. Kind of a tail wagger. It's going to bounce. Hussey's taken just across the 50, and a great special teams tackle on that play as Adam Hinkle brings him down for no return yardage.
I told you the biggest thing about punt returns is making the first guy miss, so that's a very tough thing to do because that guy is running full speed. You're standing flat-footed, so you can easily make him miss, and so he was able to stay square, use good fundamentals, and made the stop.
First and 10, Oscar Smith.
Oscar Smith kicked off to start the game, so they will get possession to start the second half, but they're in very good field position right here. They go 5 wide receivers. Don Brooks, the quarterback. Here comes some pressure. He'll get it out in the flat. Wide open man out there. It's Howard. He'll cut it back. Brought down near the 30-yard line, so a big play to start the drive. Give him 18 on it.
I don't know how Jarius Howard got that wide open on the side, but kudos to him finding himself open and allowing Brooks to find him and get him the football pretty quickly.
Really haven't seen Colonial Forge bring a lot of pressure, but they did there, and they get burned on it. Now 5 men down. Here comes the pressure, and Brooks will be brought down, so that time the blitz works.
That sack is on Brooks. That was a free blitzer coming off the corner. That's your guy as the quarterback. You have to account for him. You have to throw right where he's blitzing from. He held that football thinking he could duck underneath it. Ended up going down with the sack. Just a big play right there by the Eagles.
So again, they'll get down in a 5-man front. Again, pressure coming. Quick screen. And looks like they've beaten it. first down yardage all the way down to the 20-yard line. So that time it ends up working. Smart play by Brooks to get it in. Let's quickly get down to Matt.
Thanks, Jeremy. They're taking a look at Leroy Thomas, offensive lineman for Colonial Forge. He left the field on the last series, holding onto his shoulder, looked to be in a lot of pain. They're doing some resistance exercises with him, have not taken off his shoulder pads yet. He's walking around on the sideline, but still seems to be in some discomfort.
Thank you, Matt. Let's get back to those last two plays, Emery. We saw, really, after being in a three-man front the entire game, Colonial Forge twice went to pretty much 5 rushers to come at Brooks. Interesting wrinkle in strategy.
Yeah, and you saw them come back with the same play. And it's funny because I think Oscar Smith knew that, okay, they're going to try to come back with another blitz because it worked the previous play, had the slip screen call perfectly, and they were able to pick up the first down. Just you see it right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys in the backfield. You're beat by numbers in that situation. So good chess match going on between the two coaches.
That should be the last time out of the half for Oscar Smith. So right now, if you're Brooks, the thing you can't do is take a sack. You'll have to spike it. Wilson, the back in the backfield. He'll get it on a run, and it'll be brought down short of the 15-yard line, so the clock will continue to run.
They're going to try to bleed this all the way down. They know Colonial Forge has great special teams.
Now going to a little of a sugar huddle. Oscar Smith crowd urging their guys to get going. It dipped under 40 seconds. Here's Kelly bouncing to the outside, and he'll be hit, brought down, and luckily for Oscar Smith, I think he has a first down.
This is where you want to start
No,
having your. Oh, that's a big loss right there. Then they got to spike it, but now it's going to be 4th down. You're going to have to run your kick team out there.
Under 20 seconds. Tried for the fake spike. Now he goes up into the corner, incomplete, so it works out. My eyes may have deceived me, but I thought he went fake spike, thought it would be open, then just threw it out of play. Smart play by Brooks to at least save the field goal attempt.
I think what happened, the snap kind of got up into his chest.
Okay.
He couldn't really corral it, and but quick thinking, and was able to get the ball out of bounds and stop the clock and not take a sack.
And only get the ball out of bounds, but as some of the folks around the D.C. area saw a couple weeks ago, Kirk Cousins getting called for that intentional grounding that kind of looked a little bit hinky, made sure it was in the area of a receiver so the officials couldn't call that. So again, Atara will take his 3rd chance at a field goal. First one he missed, second one was blocked. And here comes the flag, so this may change everything Oscar Smith was thinking. Again, delay of game. So now decision time for Scott Johnson. Does he just take a shot at the end zone or take a shot at the first down?
From what we saw the last time they were out here, they just better hope this doesn't get blocked.
All the way back at the 25-yard line, so a 35-yard kick for Attar. Already 0 for 2, 1 miss, 1 block today. 12 seconds left to go in the half. Snap, hold. This one will get up, and this time Attar finds the range as he puts it through to tie the game up at 3 just before the half.
Talk about finding your way to a tie ball game. Out of all the miscues that we've seen in the first and second quarter from Oscar Smith, they end up coming back and tying this ball game to go into halftime. So just a great way of fighting through. But if you're Colonial Forge, you love the way your defense is competing against this offense, and you love the way you've had success moving the ball down the field. So it's going to be interesting to see what adjustments both teams make going into the half and coming out of the half.
Looks like Nigel Reddick, number 15, he begged off on this kick return. Here's the kick by Attar, and good blocking up front. And you see he's got the leg. That's not an issue. Attar can definitely boot it through, and he does there.
That had another 15 yards on it as well. So you see a little bit more range and a little bit more. It gives you more options as an offense because, hey, if we can get it here, we know he can kick it.
So Attar will kick off. Let's see where they go, whether they kick it deep to the dangerous Surratt or whether they squib it. Here comes Attar, and he will look to squib it. Finds one of the up men. That's Ector. Trying to get to the outside, still on his feet, and he'll be brought down at the 35-yard line, and that will be the final play of the first half. So two very good football teams not playing their best halves, as we're all tied at 3, Oscar Smith and Colonial Forge. And again, Emory, probably both teams will have to clean some things up going into the second half.
Yeah, exactly. When you look at both teams, a lot of miscues, a lot of blown assignments, but that's why we're tied at 3, and looking forward to the second half.
Oscar Smith and Colonial Forge all knotted up in the 6A semifinals. Halftime coming up on the NFHS network.
Shakespeare said that all the world's a stage and men and women are merely players. But Mr. Shakespeare never met Stephen Curry. Ni hao, the guy who was in the gym every dang day. Patron saint of the underdog, the league's most unguardable player. Bang, he knocks it down. So my apologies to Mr. Shakespeare, cause onto the stage of mere players enters the babyface assassin. And he's about to write his own story. Fall back. Shakespeare said that all the world's a stage and men and women are merely players. But Mr. Shakespeare never met Stephen Curry. Ni hao, the guy who was in the gym every dang day. Patron saint of the underdog, the league's most unguardable player. Bang, he knocks it down. So my apologies to Mr. Shakespeare, cause onto the stage of mere players enters the babyface assassin. And he's about to write his own story. Fall back. Shakespeare said that all the world's a stage and men and women are merely players. But Mr. Shakespeare never met Stephen Curry. Ni hao, the guy who was in the gym every dang day. Patron saint of the underdog, the league's most unguardable player. Bang, he knocks it down. So my apologies to Mr. Shakespeare, cause onto the stage of mere players enters the babyface assassin. And he's about to write his own story. Fall back.
Welcome back into the VHSL 6A state semifinal matchup, all tied at the half. Colonial Forge and Oscar Smith all knotted up at 3. Jeremy Huber and Emery Hunt back with you for halftime. And a quick look at our highlights. And this is how we open things up. Josh Surratt with a nice opening kickoff for Colonial Forge.
Special teams will be a big theme of the first half. Then we followed that up with a blunder here on the punt team. And again, special teams, a big part of where we are right now in the first half.
Looked like it would be a huge turning point for Oscar Smith, but literally a play later, Don Brooks throws one up for grabs, and Ian Ector was there.
Yeah, their deep passing game hasn't been effective at all in this ball game. They're going to have to start working a short pass game. We saw the opposite side do that and have success.
Yeah, right there, Ethan Garwood finding DJ Dennis, but a huge tackle there to get him down before the end zone, and then the Oscar Smith defense rose up.
Athletes on athletes on athletes at every level of their defense, and they're stepping up and making plays. Both teams played really good red zone defense in the first half.
Redding would boot that one through to give Colonial Forge the 3-0 lead. Then Oscar Smith would try to get something going, and a lot of the times when they did it was Cameron Kelly.
Yeah, one of the few times we saw them beat by alignment defensively, and Oscar Smith took advantage of that in the running game. Their running game started to get really good, really going in that second quarter.
Of course, Brooks, a guy who's used his legs throughout the year a couple times, couldn't do it right here. Was a big personal foul as they got into him a little late there. Big collision at the sidelines. Shinsky gets called for it. But again, Oscar Smith not able to take advantage. We saw this play somehow ends up finding his way through and getting Watson for the catch, which could have been another turnover for Colonial Forge. But again, the kicking game would kind of let down Oscar Smith.
Yeah, and the big play on that series was the chop block by the quarterback, which took away a touchdown.
Yeah, had a Cameron Kelly touchdown, kind of reverse field, but Brooks was called for a chop block. Then the defense for Oscar Smith has really risen up after some early success for Colonial Forge. Brooks would finally find something in the deep passing game, that time finding his receiver, Karan Prunty, but a good play by Dennis to knock that one loose, and another turnover for Colonial Forge. Then Oscar Smith would start chipping away with the run game.
Yeah, their running game really started to catch fire in that second quarter, and it got them down the field, and they started to get away from it, trying to work their deep passing game once again. But again, credit both defenses for stepping up inside the red zone and making things happen and getting stops.
Big catch by Etheridge there. They end up moving the chains, get down close. We thought they might punch it in for a touchdown, but Oscar Smith kind of ran out of time. This one would be blocked, and a huge tackle there by Artis to save what may have been a kick block touchdown by Cawthon. Then Oscar Smith kind of getting things going against the blitz as Colonial Forge started committing more men to the rush. And third time the charm as Atar put this one through to make it a 3-3 game. And again, 3-3 at the half. And, of course, our halftime stats in this one. And you got to see here, really, the stats dominated by Oscar Smith, even if the play hasn't felt that way.
Yeah, I feel like it came in waves. We saw them have success early in the first quarter, then late in the second quarter. But 0 for 5 on third down is a telling statistic because they can't finish drives, and you're doing a great job, Colonial Forge, if you're the Eagles getting off the field. But negative 10 yards rushing the football is huge. They got to get better at running the football, and that's going to be key going into the second half.
And that turnover stat obviously wrong. Maybe it's forced turnovers, but again, Oscar Smith with those picks by Don Brooks. Let's take a look at our individual stats in this one. And again, so far, Kelly kind of stepping in as the secondary running back with those 53 yards. What other strikes your fancy there, Emery?
The fact that they really can't get the ground game going, Colonial Forge, and we talked about this all throughout the broadcast in the first half, they're not getting push up front. It's tough to move that defensive line of Oscar Smith off the football, and you want to see Garwood start to open up a little bit more. Their short passing game has had success. Can he start going to the intermediate and deep passing game to really break this game open?
It's funny, talking to Bill Brown, he said, I've been in football for a long, long time. You got to be able to run the ball, got to be able to stop the run. Colonial Forge, they are not running the ball. We'll see if they can figure out a way to do it in the second half, as really they need to find something in that run game. Thanks for watching the NFHS Network on Facebook. The NFHS Network produces live streams for more than 40,000 high school games a year. You can catch all the high school action across the country live and on demand at nfhsnetwork.com. We're going to take another break, come back with more coverage from the 6A VHSL state semifinal, all tied at 3, Colonial Forge and Oscar Smith. More coming up after this. Welcome back to Stafford, Virginia. Colonial Forge and Oscar Smith all tied at 3 in the VHSL 6A state semifinal. Jeremy Huber and Emery Hunt back with you. Let's take a look at the standings, regular season standings for these two teams in their areas. Of course, Oscar Smith finished co-champs. Last game of the season falling to Kings Fork would have been their 100th straight district win. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get it. Kings Fork pulling off the big win, but you see some really good teams in that southeastern district. Also, of course, the Commonwealth District, the home of this Colonial Forge team, they won that one, kind of going away. Brook Point, North Stafford. Stafford also in there. Some good teams, if not good records, in that district. Stafford, I believe, kicking off in just a bit against Tuscarora in one of the 5A semifinals. So some quality football teams that Forge has gone through, but helps for them, Emory. They're the only 6A team. All the rest of the schools in their district are 5As.
Did you just say I was listening to you, but one thing just stuck into you. Did you say almost 100 straight district win?
Yep.
That's impressive.
Very impressive. Very impressive. Of course, Colonial Forge pretty impressive in their district as well. Of course, we talked about the 5A semifinal, Tuscarora and Stafford. We've got the other 6A semifinal. These two teams will be facing off against the winner of that. And right now, Woodbridge maybe pulling the upset. Two-time state champs Westfield trailing at home at the half against Woodbridge 7-6. Really an interesting one there because a quality football team in Westfield, they beat Oscar Smith the last 2 seasons in the state championship game. A lot of people thinking that's going to be the 3-time state championship game. May not be, as one team is trailing, one team is tied at the half in some 2 very tight, hard-fought games. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back right after this with coverage of the second half, all tied at 3. Colonial Forge and Oscar Smith. You're watching on the NFHS Network. We're back in Stafford. Let's send it down to our Matt Present with Coach Scott Johnson of Oscar Smith.
Thanks, Jeremy. Coach, 3-3 defensive battle in the first half. You guys have a big defensive stop, though, to hold the score early. How important was that in terms of momentum?
That was huge. That was huge for us. To give up 3 after that big play was a huge momentum boost for us.
It looks like defensively, Colonial Forge is dropping a ton of guys into coverage. How can you combat that here in the second half?
Well, we know they're trying to drop, and we've got to get a little better. Our quarterback's a little gimpy, and so we're going to have to get rid of the ball a little quicker, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Coach. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jeremy?
Thank you, Matt. Second half coverage coming up right after this.
Shakespeare said that all the world's a stage and men and women are merely players. But Mr. Shakespeare never met Stephen Curry. Ni hao, the guy who's in the gym every dang day. Patron saint of the underdog, the league's most unguardable player. Bang, he knocks it down. So my apologies to Mr. Shakespeare, because onto the stage of mere players enters the babyface assassin. And he's about to write his own story. Fall back.
Welcome back to Stafford, Virginia. Colonial Forge and Oscar Smith all tied at 3 in the VHSL Class 6A state semifinal. Jeremy Huber and Emery Hunt with you. And again, Emery, last year's game, a real classic last-second win by Oscar Smith down at the beach. This one a little more in Central Virginia. Maybe that's where all the offense went. They left it at the beach, just 3-3. But I think better explanation is a lot of turnovers in this game so far.
A lot of turnovers and questionable special teams play. Some good, some bad. But I think that's going to be the key determinant in who wins this game in the second half. Both teams have to play better in the third facet of the football game.
Yeah, and again, we've seen both teams have their issues, as you kind of pointed out, and as Coach admitted, it's really kind of turned them on their head at Oscar Smith because Don Brooks is usually a run threat. Now he's kind of gimpy, so we've seen Colonial Forge just drop 8 back and say, we know you're not taking off. What are you going to do?
And that's why you have to start going to your short passing game. You saw them go to their running game late in that second quarter, so maybe they can use that to set up that deep passing game coming off of play action, because right now just running 4 guys deep down the field and waiting for those longer routes to develop is not working, and that's why they're not going or getting into the end zone. So they have to do a better job with their short passing game and let their running game help out their passing offense.
And I think the interesting thing for Colonial Forge, it's one of the drawbacks of the wing T offense. I played in it. Penetration just demolishes the wing T, and especially when you're playing against a fast team like Oscar Smith. They're getting back there. It's tough to get anything going. A lot of times, at least when I've found in my experience, sometimes against those fast teams, you want that kind of pound it straight ahead I formation ball where you can kind of get through guys and get into the second level before they can react. The question is, if you're Colonial Forge right now, how do you get a running game going, or do you not get a running game going? Do you go short passes?
I think you can go short passes. I think that's how you can supplement your running game or lack of running game. Those short passes to the outside, we saw them have success with that in the first half, and you want to see them get back to that. I get what you're saying. You're absolutely right in trying to run downhill against speed, but the problem is that defensive line of Oscar Smith is not being moved off the spot. Maybe they can get a little bit more creative. A lot of misdirection, maybe some trap plays, take advantage of those guys coming up the field, because we see them blitz a lot with their backers. Maybe they can get creative that way to get their ground game going, but I think their short passing game can help them out and loosen up that box just a little bit more, so that way they can then start to run downhill.
Of course, remember the stakes in this one, oh so high. Winner moves on to the state championship game. That one's scheduled to be played at Hampton, but there's already some talk about maybe that one could get moved if some local teams instead of Oscar Smith moving on. We got a long way to go before we figure that one out. 3-3 at the half, Colonial Forge and Oscar Smith. Coming after this, second half action here on the NFHS Network. And we're back here in Stafford, Virginia, getting ready for second half action. Oscar Smith and Colonial Forge. And again, as we touched on earlier, Emery, Oscar Smith kicked off to start the game. They didn't kick off. They lost the toss. Colonial Forge, man, make sure we correct that. Right. Sometimes people don't get that. Sometimes because there is an option. There's a bunch of options on that coin toss. But basically, folks, Colonial Forge won the toss, elected to receive. You see a lot of teams decide to go ahead and defer to the second half. So Oscar Smith gets the ball here. What are they looking to do as they start the second half? Find
some type of rhythm offensively. Everything looks like it's a new play. There's nothing that's building off of the past play, and so I think they have to find that rhythm. And in my opinion, I know I'm a former running back, but it starts with your running game.
Of course, Oscar Smith with that field goal right before the half, so they kind of have the momentum. Acevedo back deep with Wilson. Redding. It's a kickoff. Redding with a good leg. Here's the kick. It's going to be a squib. It'll be taken by Acevedo inside his 5. Straight up the middle. He's still on his feet. Acevedo still on his feet. Can Redding get him down? He'll slow him down. Still on his feet and eventually out of bounds, but all the way up to the 30-yard line of Colonial Forge. So what a start for Oscar Smith.
And when you saw him catch that football and hit that lane, he saw that lane initially because he hit full speed right about the 5-yard line. And so that thing opened up pretty quickly for their special teams. And we talked about special teams at the half. Again, this is a big play. We saw this happen in the opening of the game with Colonial Forge with a big return. Let's see if Oscar Smith can capitalize.
And a 66-yard return on that play for Acevedo. Kelly in the game. He'll take the handoff, gets hit and banged down by Reddick and a few more after a gain of 4 on the play.
It's a good opening play right there. Positive yards. Now you want to build off that. Again, you have to find ways to have success offensively, and it's all about continuity. And positive plays help you build that offensively.
So Kelly leaves. Wilson back in, of course, trying to fill the void. Now he had a chain issue, it looks like. Doing so, Isaiah Mays comes over, the center, maybe checking in with the line coach, talking about a front. But Tigers filling in for D'Angelo White, went down after 9 games with a serious season-ending knee injury. Up the middle, running into a wall of humanity, is Wilson for a minimal gain.
Number 65,
Zach Lynch credited with the tackle. Lynch, a second-team All-Region B selection.
At the Colonial Forge 26-yard line.
3rd and 6, need to get it down to the 20 for a first down. Brooks looks to throw, and he will be picked off by Ector, his second of the game. Ector trying to make a play here. Ector's got some space. Can he beat everybody? Ector still on his feet. It's Brooks, the last man to beat, and he'll be brought down from behind. But Ian Ector with another huge play for Colonial Forge.
Just dropping back in your zone allows you to see the field and read the quarterback's eyes. He did a great job just stepping in that passing window. They had a nice little smash concept with a corner route right behind that corner, but he drifted right into the zone and picked that ball off and got a great convoy down the sideline. And I thought he was going to get caught by number 53. I was like, you can't let the big guy catch you. But just a great job getting down the sideline, and good effort played by Oscar Smith to not allow him to get into the end zone. Now you're going to ask your defense to come up with a huge stop. With great job by Colonial Forge, making a big play coming off of a big return. What a way to start the game defensively.
Keon Watson made that touchdown-saving tackle. Let's see if they can save a touchdown. Pass down to the 10-yard line. As making that grab on the play, the wide receiver, Zach Kendall, give him a gain of around 6.
And that's what I'm talking about. Their short passing game can be their running game. That particular pass has been open. That stop route, just a quick, easy 5-yard play that they can run constantly.
Garwood hit, and he fumbles, but jumping on top of it, Dexter Carr to save the possession for Colonial Forge.
He did not see that coming, man. Those are the plays that defensive linemen and outside linebackers dream of. You hope he doesn't get rid of it. He dropped that ball before the defender even got there. So we're starting to see Oscar Smith's defense step up and make it happen.
So Will Carroll, the all-region tackle, is out. 3rd and 9. Garwood throws one up to Kendall, who makes the catch. He got loose from Acevedo, and he scores.
That's how you battle back and make a big play. It looked like calamity from the onset, but great job by the QB buying time in the pocket and finding his receiver deep in the end zone for the touchdown.
Looked like disaster, then salvation, as Kendall just got loose from Acevedo for a second, and he makes them pay. Kendall's your holder on the extra point. Redding boots it through, and Colonial Forge cashes in the turnover to take a 10-3 lead.
We talk about living to play another play, and this is what we're talking about. A guy keeping his eye downfield, finding someone in the end zone. If that ball didn't get, if it didn't get caught, it could have gotten intercepted, but good, savvy move by the wide receiver, not pulling him down, but getting him out of the way.
Kendall, maybe a little bit of a shove there. That's what Acevedo was calling for. Referees didn't see it, and it's funny, we were talking about this in our pregame, Emory, going back and looking at some film. Acevedo really struggled against Kings Fork. Kings Fork hit him about twice for long passes against taller receivers. Really solid player, but he's only 5'6". Kendall goes 6 foot, has about 6-inch advantage on him. Maybe that little bit of reach advantage just to push off enough to get himself free. And Garwood taking the chance against the smaller corner.
This is what you wanted to see Colonial Forge do in the first half. Take advantage of these miscues by Oscar Smith. Now, if you're Oscar Smith, again, you're only down one play. Don't try to go for it on one play. You have to find ways to continue to work your way down the field and not get out of what you do regularly in your offense.
So that time looked very returnable for Khalid Wilson, but kind of let it squirt through his hands into the end zone, so maybe Forge catches a break. As the dangerous Oscar Smith return team didn't get their hands on it, and that time Ian Ector again. And it's funny, Coach Brown talked about Ector. He said, look, he's got some small schools looking at him. He's a very smart player, very tall as well. I tell you what, after watching some game film today, some people may see his size. I mean, he's got a great frame. You see Bill Brown, of course, the standout coach, but Ector with the numbers. He's 6'1". He's kind of skinny. Put some weight on him. Might have yourself a steal at the corner spot. As up the middle goes Wilson for a short gain.
6'1" with ball skills. I'm sold already. So you have corners that play in the NFL that can't find the football like he has today. So
I'll tell you what, when you test yourself against the best and you come up well, that's what catches people's eyes sometimes. Now Oscar Smith going with the eye here. Forrest Sawyer in as the fullback. Brooks looking to throw, and Shinsky will take him down for a sack.
We're waiting for Shinsky to make a play. 6'4", 245. It's kind of like leaned on that offensive line, and you wanted to see the quarterback get out of harm's way.
We talked about it before. Coach even admitted it. Brooks is a little banged up, can't be as elusive as he normally is, and Shinsky just engulfs everybody to make the play.
He beat 3 guys on that play. He really worked hard for that sack. This is a dangerous situation right here for Oscar Smith. 3rd and long, 3rd and about 15. And it looks like they're not going to send pressure, so.
Brooks looking to his left. He's going to go deep. Got a man behind everybody, but Ector again knocks it away. Ian Ector, what a day for him so far. He was going for Etheridge. He gets a hand in.
I mean, I know he wears 24, but kind of looks like Josh Norman out there, except he's actually playing the football. But all jokes aside, great job staying in between the receiver and finding the football. Once you see the ball in the air, the receiver is irrelevant. Go and get the football. He did just that on that play.
Yeah, it looked like he was originally guarding Jarius Howard, but when that ball went up, it was his. Didn't come down with it this time, but he made sure that Etheridge didn't. It's the first punt of the day for Oscar Smith. This is a tar again. Boots it away, and it's partially blocked. Hector won't go up to it. He'll let Oscar Smith down it as Isaiah Mays does, but we talked about special teams, and now special teams and defense tilting this one Colonial Forge's way.
You only have to win 2 out of the 3 facets of a game to win the game, and right now they're winning defense and special teams. I've never seen this many block kicks and punts in a ball game in my life. Just a great job by Colonial Forge, just executing flawlessly and getting back there.
I think that was Devontae Randall with the block. So he becomes, I believe, the first player from Colonial Forge to block a kick this year, not named Nigel Reddick, who had one earlier today, had 3 coming in. Ernesto Bowen in as the running back. Garwood, quick pass, has his man. He may have a touchdown. And it will be a score. Zach Kendall, second in a row, and Colonial Forge has a 2-touchdown lead.
talk about a dart right there by Ethan Garwood. Just hit him right in stride on the bank 8 route, the quick slant. You're going to see good protection up front by that offensive line. Quick set, nice little slant route. Missed the tackle in the support race right here. You're not going to catch him once he has that end zone in his sights.
Acevedo missed that tackle, and then coming over from a safety spot, couldn't get there. As TJ Tucker tried to keep him out of the end zone, couldn't do it. Here's Jaden Redding. Now Bill Brown's going to take a timeout, comes all the way down the field. I think Bill Brown, I believe, 68 years old, not looking like it right there as he was hustling.
One thing I noticed on that particular pass route was just a great job by that offensive line. Quick setup, good pass pro right here. You see that guard and center working in unison to keep the middle protected. I've talked before about how important coaching offensive line play is, and my man Kevin Sparks right now, who played at Bridgewater College, he now coaches nearby at Spotsy High School, and he talks about offensive line play in a technical side. Like a lot of sacks you can't really blame on the offensive line. A lot of sacks you can't really put on that front. And when guys are working together, and I know he coaches those guys great down there.
Yep.
And so watching that work out and how the play ended up, working out for this offense, it shows you how well they're being coached up front. And you got to give the offensive line and offensive line coaches credit. And I know my man Kevin Sparks does a great job coaching those guys up.
Spotsylvania High School, just down the road from us here in Stafford. High snap, but Kendall gets it down, and Redding boots it through. I believe the last product was called the Kindle Fire. That's pretty appropriate right now because Zach is completely on fire. 2 straight touchdowns and doing a good job on the holds as well, getting it down for his standout kicker, Redding. So this one is turned, and now Oscar Smith in the chase position, and you see Bill Brown right there. Again, sometimes your older coaches, they say, they're figureheads. Bill Brown's no figurehead. He's still coaching his rear end off, and he can smell another state championship trip. It's been a while for him since his time at Hilton. It hasn't been able to get this Colonial Ford team over the hump, but they can smell it right now, a state championship trip. Still a lot of time left against a good opponent, but there's a lot of momentum on their side right now.
And just to put my coaching hat on, this is where you really want to do your job as a coach and really get those guys to not focus on the score. You're down 2 plays. Stop looking at the deficit. You're not down 14 points. You're down 2 plays. We have a lot of time left in this game. Get back to basics and try to push this football down the field. Now, if you're Colonial Forge, this is where you want to go for the kill shot. This is where you want to put a team out of its misery by really forcing them to break their own tendency. So I think both coaching staffs right now will really have to go to work.
And I think that was an incredibly important kick there by Redding to not let Oscar Smith get a big return to get something going. Let's send it down to our Matt President.
Guys, you see Kendall catch a couple of big touchdowns there. Really dangerous wide receiving core across the board. And they're really led by Josh Surratt. You guys saw him on the opening kickoff. He's so dangerous in so many phases of the game. First team offense, first team defense, first team special teams. And yeah, Coach Brown says sometimes he forgets about the fact that he's human. Last week, for example, Surratt dropped a couple passes in the early going. An assistant coach said, "What's wrong with Josh?" Well, no big deal, of course. He bounces back for 181 total yards, 3 total touchdowns. You know who's definitely keying on him? Oscar Smith on the other sideline. That really opens things up so far for the other wideouts. Jeremy?
Thank you much, Matt. A short gain on that play by Khalid Wilson.
This is where you want to block out the crowd, block out the down and distance, block out the scoreboard, and just start executing.
And we have a quarterback change as Cameron Kelly is in at quarterback, has come in for Dom Brooks. Don't know if that's injury or performance, but Kelly, the left-hander, is in, and he makes a nice pass out in the flat for a completion. That one pulled in by Shai Hussey.
Yeah, I talked to head coach Scott Johnson earlier in the week. He was like, you're going to see Cameron Kelly play everywhere on the field because he's that important to our football team. Right now he's playing the most important position at quarterback. You see them going under center too. So that's something unique that we hadn't seen previous in this game.
Here's the handoff. Spinning through the first tackle, but brought down after a short gain is Wilson. And not brought down, eventually just pushed back. And maybe firing him up a little bit. But now it's funny, Emory, Brooks and Kelly really split time early in the season. Eventually, Brooks kind of took over the job. And I think from hearing from the Oscar Smith coaches, it seemed as much that maybe just they realized that, look, Kelly's so important on defense. We can get him in other spots. Brooks can be our quarterback leader type guy. 2nd and 8. Kelly, pressure coming. He's going to try and take off and run. He'll get through the first tackler, gets through a second, and eventually gets out of bounds, and that's the threat that Oscar Smith hasn't had all day long.
Exactly. You're absolutely right, because you saw him break 3 tackles and pick up that first down. I thought he was going to be tackled at least 5 yards short of the first, but that's the element now that you introduce to this defense, a guy that can make plays outside of the framework, get away from pressure, and picking up the first. Now, can he throw it deeper down the field? We saw them work their short passing game, their running game. They're getting back to basics on offense. At some point, they're going to start to have to open up just a little bit because this defense is starting to creep up.
Keon Watson, now your deep back. They'll pitch it out to him. And Shinsky makes the play, gets some help on the play from Coffin as well. But Shinsky, that motor that always gets talked about, running real hard right now.
And you see a guy that has length playing with length. He's 6'4", and he's playing how you expect a guy at 6'4" to play. That length right there is able to scrape down the side, get off a block, beat the guy to the spot, and make the tackle in the backfield. That's a heck of a job right there by Shinsky.
I like Emory. We'll get into this a little bit later, but putting in Kelly when they did, it's going to be tough for Colonial Forge to adjust to it. Pulling in for Brooks. Here's the handoff up the middle. Again goes to Watson for a gain of 4. But sometimes those changes that you make, maybe in the third quarter, maybe not at half, so the team knows about it, you kind of have to make them adjust on the fly. That might be big for Oscar Smith going forward.
It could be huge because, again, if they can prove that Kelly can make plays in the passing game, I think that really puts Colonial Forge in a bind because they have quietly taken out the receivers of Oscar Smith. So they've made it an in-the-box game. And so can he take those guys away and can he make plays in the passing game is going to be key.
Huge 3rd and long here. Kelly in the shotgun. He'll move Watson. Got 2 receivers each way. Rush comes. He eludes the first. Eludes the second. Still on his feet. He'll get through another guy and gets down all the way inside the 45-yard line for a first down. That was all Cam Kelly.
I don't know how he did it, man. He should have been tackled at least 3 times. Dead to rights in the backfield. Broke that tackle and broke 2 more as he picked up the first. So you talk about a guy that's 6'2", 180, but he shows a lot of strength and power in breaking tackles.
Tell you what, this might become the most important game of backyard football for Cam Kelly's life. Because right now, when he drops back to throw and breaks contain, Colonial Forge having trouble getting him on the ground. Kelly flips it out to Watson. He'll be spun down after a gain of 3.
See, those passing plays is what we didn't see Brooks do in the first half. It's all about completing those short routes, and then, yes, you can go deep down the field, but we're seeing Kelly come into this ball game, and now the playbook seems to be a little bit more open, and they're working this offense down the field.
Nigel Reddick off the field. He was banged up in the first half. Here's Wilson across the 40, gain of 3, so sets up a 3rd and manageable here.
Down by number 23, Max Coffin for the Forge.
If you're Colonial Forge in this situation, what you want to do, that ball is on the left hash. You want to send pressure coming from the right side to really shrink the field and force him to go to one direction. You give him the entire field, you're going to get gashed like you did on the previous 3rd down.
Here's Kelly, sets up the screen, and unable to bring it in was Wilson. So now a 4th down, and with the clock coming up on 3 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter, maybe 4-down territory for Oscar Smith.
At this time, they only
bring up 4th and 5 for the Tigers.
Sent 3. They played coverage. That screen actually had a chance had he completed. They had guys out there blocking as well, so missed opportunity.
Here we go, folks. Huge play in this one. 4th and 4. Need to get it to the 35-yard line for a first down. You see your score in the other semifinal. Westfield has come back to take the lead. Kelly throws it out in the flat. It is complete, and it is across the chains for a first down as He's able to find Jarius Howard for the yardage needed.
Now you're asking your running back, defensive back, now turn quarterback to make a far hash throw. You saw that ball sort of die toward the end, and good job by the receiver going down to scoop it up and pick up the first. But their offense has found a bit of a rhythm, and I know it's because of the new element at quarterback, but this is the offense we expected to see coming into this ball game from Oscar Smith.
Here's the handoff. Up the middle goes Wilson, and he'll be very close to the sticks. Gain of 9 on the play.
Straight downhill running. They couldn't get the downhill running game going in the first half, and now they've opened up this defense just a little bit to where they're picking up yards and chunks now. Can they convert and put this ball in the end zone?
Wilson stays in. Kelly pitches it to him. He'll have the first down, and he'll be brought down across the 20 by Dennis. Gain of 6 and a first down.
See, I love the approach because, again, I always say this, you're not down 14 points. You just have to make 2 plays. You're down 2 plays. And right here, just a great job getting the defensive flow outside. You cut it right back against the grain. When you're that fast, you're able to pick up yards like that. So good play calling, good mix of personnel. Everyone's doing a good job.
Kelly hands off this time to Watson, bouncing it to the outside, still on his feet and brought down after a gain of 5 on the play.
Now, ideally, you want to get a score before this quarter ends to really put this game back in play. So, but you have to like what this offensive line has started to do. They start to take over a little bit. Balance is key. Colonial Forge needs to stop right here to really kill this momentum.
2nd and 5, again going with the spread with Kelly. He'll keep on the read option, gets outside one man, but Shinsky's there. Mitchell Shinsky with another huge play to bring down Kelly for a loss.
What a way to step up as a senior defensive end. Reading blocks, getting off blocks, and now chasing down a very dangerous Cameron Kelly and making a stop in the backfield. He's been playing lights out in the second half, Shinsky has.
Yeah, after a quiet first half, Shinsky has really come on. I think he was lined up maybe even inside on that play. Handoff, Watson going to the outside. He's going to be hit and stopped at the 5-yard line, but he has first down yardage, so Oscar Smith in a passing situation goes to the run, and it pays off.
It pays off, and he made sure that defender knew he was coming downhill. He put a shoulder down, but good job up front again. Patience, and then plant your foot in the ground and accelerate downhill, but just a great job by Colonial Forge not allowing him to get inside the end zone.
I believe that was Surratt on the tackle. Under a minute to go here in the third quarter. Still plenty of time for Oscar Smith. Wilson's your deep back. He takes the handoff, tries to jump over the pile and doesn't get there. He'll be brought and stop his momentum at about the 1-yard line.
Now, if Khalid Wilson was 5'11" instead of 5'7", maybe he crosses that goal line, but good effort right there, just getting up in the air and trying to stretch that football out across the plane.
Wow, right now Oscar Smith going to try and hurry it up. He'll hand off again, and this time he gets into the end zone, so the hurry-up play catches Colonial Forge off guard just a bit, and Wilson scores to make this a one-possession game.
Like I told you, you want to get that touchdown inside the third quarter to really level out this ball game. Good job getting up on the line of scrimmage quickly and getting into the end zone. Defense was ready, nearly made the stop, but just a good effort right there by Khalid Wilson get into the end zone.
I think possibly Coach Johnson thinking, hey, let's move this along. Let's not let them go talk about this for a minute on the sidelines of what we're going to do. Make them have to think a little bit on their feet, and it ends up a positive for Oscar Smith. So this will end the third quarter as a Tar on for the extra point. He is up and he is good, and that will take us to the fourth quarter. It's Colonial Forge 17, Oscar Smith 10. Come back for an exciting fourth quarter on the NFHS Network. An Oscar Smith score to end the second quarter, and Oscar Smith score to end the third quarter. As this Colonial Forge up 17-10 on the Tigers. And Emory, exactly what you asked for. That's what Oscar Smith delivers, and most of it due to Cameron Kelly.
Yeah, he stepped in and played great. I mean, he managed the situation well, took what the defense gave him, completed a couple passes, and moved the sticks and got them inside the red zone and ultimately into the end zone. So you have to like what he was able to do from a quarterbacking standpoint. And let's see if that defense can step up and get a key stop. And let's see if Colonial Forge can really chew this clock up at least at the 6-minute mark and really put them at a disadvantage.
So Tar will kick off. Surratt's back deep. Another squib kick. Takes the high bounce. It'll be grabbed at the 30-yard line and advanced up across the 30 by Johnny Walker. So good field position for Colonial Forge to start off with. And Emory, I don't know about you, but to me this seems like this is very important for Colonial Forge to find a way to get some points on this drive.
Yeah, we talked about momentum, and you saw them have all the momentum when they scored that last touchdown, making it 17-3. And then you saw Oscar Smith sort of galvanize and regain some of that momentum. Now their defense will come out and be a little bit more aggressive. You're right. Colonial Forge has to step up and make sure they come over with points on this drive.
Garwood back to throw, and Kendall the intended target, but a good job, and that's the guy we had our eyes on earlier today, Brequan Harrell, as he makes a big play there to keep it from being a big catch for Kendall. Send it down to Matt Present. We'll get back down to Matt in just a second. So 2nd and 10. Garwood hands off to Bowen. Spins to the outside, but another good tackle made by Horace Sawyer. Keep that play as a minimal gain.
It's a key third down right here. It's 3rd and long. Your passing game has been short, but they really needed to find a way to convert this and not get the ball back to Oscar Smith.
So Garwood, look over. Single coverage down low on Peyton Rodier. Sets up the screen. He's got something. He's got something. Bowen all the way down to the 40-yard line. What a play call by Colonial Forge.
You know what happened? You tipped it off pre-snap by saying they had man coverage on the outside, tight man coverage. They also had it at the top of the screen, so that told the coaching staff, hey, we got man coverage. They're going to let their athletes run with our wide receivers, send those guys deep down the field. We have a screen call, and it was blocked perfectly. No one within 15 yards of the ball carrier. Great play call in that situation, and this is what you want them to do. Flip the field position at least and chew up this clock.
Bowen, a guy who really did good work in the regular season, going deep here, looking for a receiver, and that'll be incomplete as he was looking for Dennis again. Great coverage on the play by Malcolm Britt.
I thought Malcolm Britt had a chance to pick that ball off, and this is a guy that was running with the receiver, turned around late, found the football, and still got a hand on it.
I tell you what, Emory, it looked like to me, and it was just a quick glance, that maybe Dennis thought the same thing you did, so he never kind of played his hand like the ball's coming to me, almost like he was running like, oh yeah, there's no ball, because he knew the defender had a better shot at it than he did. Oscar Smith show blitz, then they back out. Garwood eludes the rush. Now he's going to go down back at the 50-yard line. Kyle Thomas with another big play, joined by a few more Tigers, and that is huge to stop that momentum of Colonial Forge.
Yeah, that right there is on a quarterback, not the offensive line. He had an opportunity to get rid of this football right here. Back foot hits the ground, get rid of it, step up, get rid of it again. So he had 2 opportunities, cut back into pressure, and that's what you didn't want him to do right there, take a sack in this situation, because, again, it's all about that tug-of-war of momentum that's within the football game, and you're starting to see Oscar Smith slowly pull away at it.
Still plenty of time left. Quick pass looking for Surratt, and nothing doing. It's incomplete, and Cam Kelly with great coverage on the play anyway.
What is crazy is that you probably can't hear it on the broadcast, but we're broadcasting from the Colonial Forge side. They got that quiet after that play. This was a rocking side of the field, so you start to see the other side get up a little bit more, get more into the game. They need their defense now to step up and get a key stop and get that ball back.
High snap, but no rush by Oscar Smith. Redding with a high kick, and Hussey makes the fair catch, and he's complaining to the referee that he may have been contacted. Ref doesn't buy it, so Oscar Smith with a chance. Plenty of time left in the fourth quarter as they trail by 7. Let's send it down to Matt. Go ahead and down to Matt Present.
Thanks, Jeremy. I want to update you guys on the quarterback situation. As you saw, Cameron Kelly came out last drive and did a really nice job, and it's not an injury situation. They just felt like Dominique Brooks was not playing great, and so they wanted to go to Kelly. He was actually supposed to start the season at quarterback, but decided to go against it to give him some more touches in the backfield, and that work really picked up after the injury to D'Angelo White. Now with Kelly at quarterback, look for Khalid Wilson to get a lot more touches in the run game. Jeremy?
Thank you, Matt, and there, big penalty as it's holding on Oscar Smith will move the ball back.
Number 23, Max Crawford, and 24, Ian Hector on that last stop.
Never want negative plays to open up a series.
And again, in this side of the field, something you can't afford. This will move the ball back inside the 10. They'll spot it at the 8. So half the distance called there. It really makes it about a 1st and 15. As Cam Kelly came on for Don Brooks in the third quarter, immediately led a touchdown drive, looking to do the same. He's got a receiver out to the 20-yard line, gets a lot of that yardage back. That's Kenny Etheridge with the grab.
You're starting to see a little bit more trust in the passing game right now for Oscar Smith. You know, they're really starting to take a lot of what the defense is giving them, and they're picking up yards in chunks right now, man. I feel like with their ground game and their passing game, they found something in this defense.
Here's Howard trying to get to the outside and strung out by Colonial Forge. Does a good job to get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more.
Playing great perimeter defense is all about, number one, chasing the ball, and 2, beating you to the spot. If you beat someone to the spot, you start to set that wall, and as quickly as you set the wall, it becomes, okay, who's the second guy, who's the second flow guy, and those guys end up making a play, and we saw that play out perfectly right there for no gain.
So we've seen Kelly, since he came in, convert plenty of first downs with his legs. Let's see what he does here. Quick throw, again finds Etheridge, and again will have a first down after the gain of 8.
Yeah, we saw that right there before the snap. Even the guys in the stands are standing right in front of the booth, all pointed out to that guy in the slot was uncovered. And again, we're seeing Kelly make great reads pre-snap. He quickly diagnosed that and got that ball out of his hands quickly to the receiver who picked up the first down.
Dennis on the coverage. Here's the handoff, and this could be a touchdown. Khalid Wilson out in front. Will anyone catch him? Surratt giving chase. He brings him down inside the 20, all the way down to the 15-yard line. There's the big play that Oscar Smith was looking for.
Running backs love running against stacked boxes because all you have to do is make that one guy miss, and it's a foot race. And he was able to find that one guy, make him miss, beat that first wave, and it was off to the races. So, again, defensively for Colonial Forge, this is where you stepped up throughout the course of this game. Can he step up again inside the red zone and get a stop? And if you're Oscar Smith, can you punch this ball into tie this game?
1st and 10. Kelly sets up the screen pass, and it's knocked away. That time it was Reddick all over it for Colonial Forge as he tried to jam it into Wilson.
You can see why both of these teams are in the playoffs in this situation and why they've had so much success. We've seen a lot of mental toughness, physical toughness. Guys are overcoming mistakes, and this has been a really great football game.
Watson into the game. He takes the handoff again, trying to get to the outside. Cawthon giving chase. That's Lewisant, and he gets help from the rest of the defense. Maybe I was a little bit of foreshadowing there as Lewisant made the play, then both Cawthons got there to finish it off.
Again, beating someone to the spot, taking it outside arm, setting the edge, and allowing your free-flowing linebacker to make the play. They've been playing great perimeter defense throughout the course of this ball game. Now they're starting to get gas up the middle, but their perimeter defense has been excellent. You need their secondary right here to be alert for the screen, also be alert for the quarterback getting out the pocket and being on the move. Otherwise, they can really get off the field here.
Colonial Ford's crowd comes to its feet. They're looking for a stop. They weren't ready. Kelly's just going to go ahead and take it himself, and he may still get the first down. He's brought down short of the sticks, but he gets a huge chunk of the yardage back.
Ooh, this is interesting right here, man. This is 4th and inches. 4th and about a yard. Would you go for it here?
Oh, definitely, the way they're going. But check this out, Emery. If we don't catch the first part of it, we'll catch the second. But I know Watson wasn't ready for that play to be snapped. He was looking away, and I think they gave him a really good spot on that play, a little bit extra on the dive.
Looks like his knee hit at the 10.
So here we go, 4th and a yard. Ball inside the 10-yard line. Kelly under center. He's going to sneak it, and he's going to have it. So give it, let your playmaker keep it. And he should have first down yardage as they got a great surge up front, and they will have a first down. So Westfield has beaten Woodbridge, came back from a 7-6 halftime deficit, so the two-time state champs will play for a third. Who will they meet? Will it be Oscar Smith or Colonial Forge? Was looking like it was going to be the Eagles about 30 minutes ago. Right now, not so sure. And Wilson stopped at the line of scrimmage. Again, trying to run wide against Colonial Forge. Everybody besides Kelly right now, it's not working.
Yeah, it's not working. You're not going to get outside on this defense. They've been playing great in that capacity all game long. Where they have had success is running right downhill. I also don't believe they're going to put the ball in the air in this situation. They're going to trust their ground game, maybe give Kelly a two-way go out of the shotgun, but they love their running game. They're able to run downhill. We'll see if they go back to it on this second down.
Wilson on the counter play, up the middle, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Oscar Smith.
Stands with the person that you brought to the party, which has been their downhill running game in the second half, and you saw them go right back to it again. They tried the outside throughout this series, but that downhill running game has been successful. They're bringing a guy off on the backside, 2 guards pulling, and as a running back, when you see those big guys flash in front of you, leading you around the end, that's what you want to see, because you know they're going to be clearing some space out. You're going to have free reign to the end zone.
Big old James Collins, the UCF commit, coming on through. Now it's all on a tar. Can he boot it through to tie it up? Snap, hold, kick is up, and the kick is good. Don't know if he got a piece of it. A flag goes down as well, so this may be running into the kicker that may be assessed on the kickoff. Let's see. They will call running into, so now a decision maybe for Scott Johnson. Does he go ahead and maybe put the offense back out there? I think they're going to take it on the kickoff.
I thought he got back there, man.
They hit the holder. That's what it was.
Ran into the holder.
Yeah. Just pushed it through, so that's an important thing. Sometimes you see teams down from the beach don't have the best kicking games, but Attar has been pretty solid today. A little short on that first kick, but the second one, that wasn't his fault on the block. I mean, everyone came through on that one, but he's made the kicks they've needed him to make, and he's done pretty good on the kickoffs with the directional type kicking.
And if you're Colonial Forge, in my opinion, I think this is the situation you want to be in. Tie game, you get the ball, 5.5 minutes left. Go win the game.
Let's send it down to our Matt Present.
Thanks, guys. You saw what Khalid Wilson did on that drive, a huge play, and then the touchdown run. You know, a lot of guys grow up watching players in the NFL, in college, but for Khalid Wilson, who grew up right near Oscar Smith and watched a guy by the name of J.C. Coleman play in high school, he went on to play 4 years at Virginia Tech. Now, a week ago, Coleman was in attendance to watch Wilson break off a couple hundred yards and 2 touchdowns. A cool moment for him then, and he's really turned the game around right here. Jeremy?
Thank you, Matt. So they will kick off from the Colonial Forge 45, and they just boot it through the end zone. And I think maybe some folks were thinking as a flag is down, maybe thinking that could have been an onside kick there, Emery.
I thought that would have been a bad choice if they would have kept that onside kick. But because now the ball is in Colonial Forge's court, and they've sort of been shaky since this run has been made by Oscar Smith. So you don't want to give them any signs of life offensively. Make them drive the length of the field. I would also try to sky kick this one to put it in play about the 5 to 10 yard line and really try to pin them down very deep on their own end.
Bill Brown takes pride in his special teams. You wonder if the message has been communicated to his guys. They go sky kick. You can fair catch this thing. They have to let you catch it. So Attar will now kick from the 50. Surratt back deep. Hector and Walker are your up backs. That's who they've been kicking to all game after that first long return by Surratt. And this will end up in the end zone as Attar boots it through. And now Colonial Forge, with just over 5.5 minutes left to go in the game, all tied up and really no momentum, but they have the ball.
They have the ball. They have 5.5 minutes left, and they have had success against this defense. Again, their short passing game has been working. Their ground game going outside has been working. Everything in the middle has been tough for them all game long, but we'll see if they go back to what has had success for them on this series, because again, you're right, they have the ball, they have the situation, now they can go win the game.
Garwood finds Surratt, shakes Kelly, lunges forward, and he has a gain of 9, and really that's been the matchup today, that they've put Kelly on Surratt and kind of held him down.
Yeah, they've done a great job, and again, now you're going to need other guys to step up and make plays. Can someone step up and rise to the occasion and make a play for this offense?
Oscar Smith shows blitz. Garwood, quick pass to Surratt, makes the grab and goes down to give him forward progress, so a gain of 4 and a first down.
Here's what the short pass will start to make the defense do. They'll start to creep up, get a little bit more aggressive, and that's when you saw the screenplay work on the last series. That's when you're starting to see the offensive line get better at pass protecting, and you're going to start to see double moves now and then take the shot deep down the field. So as long as Oscar Smith is playing off, you have to start working or continue to work the short passing game.
So 1st and 10. Garwood again, quick pass. He'll hit Dennis, who's slung out of bounds at the 40-yard line. So a nice gain, and we touched on it in the pregame. Emery, Harrell, coming onto this team. He was at Western Branch last week. He ends up coming in as a transfer. He just moved out. A coach told me before the game, hey, his lease was up. His family had to move. They moved into our zone. They're playing him in the game today. As quick pass here, and that is a completion and a nice little play, as almost a little screen there as Rodier went around Surratt and gets the big gain.
And that's all you're asking a receiver to do on the outside. Don't block him. Just get in his way. Make him belly around that route, and it'll open things up for your receiver coming underneath. And it was just a great job right there by Surratt, getting in the way.
Here's Garwood. Has a man deep. It's Rodier, and he throws it over his head. He couldn't get the feet turned around.
This thing is starting to play out just like we're calling it, because, again, they work short on both sides. That was a deep shot. Now we'll see them get back to that short game. It put the secondary on notice, and these are plays you have to make. That's a big play that you have to make. You didn't have to drill that ball in there. You could really just lob it up, and he's going to run underneath it. So
we'll have to mark that one down. Missed opportunity for Forge. Garwood again finds his man on the quick slant. And that time it was Zach Kendall. The guy has the 2 touchdown catches earlier. He has the first down.
Now you also want to start to think about how much do you trust your field goal kicker if in case you have to get to that point. But right now they're moving the football. It's just about converting first downs and moving the sticks.
Reading an all-region kicker. Here's the pass. That is completed for a gain of about 3 as he finds Dennis.
Darwin's pass complete to number 11, DJ Dennis.
Back to the point I was making earlier about Harrell. He's been in there in coverage. You'll wonder at some point they run a kind of funky move on him, try and target him. New guy into the defense, though he is one heck of a player. Colonial Ford's content to take time on this drive as the clock runs. Here's the pass. Gets to Surratt, and a great tackle by Kelly to bring him down after a gain of 1.
That's a heck of a job by Kelly right there. That's a tough open field tackle to make. And now it makes it 3rd and long, 3rd and 7. So if you're Colonial Forge, obviously you want to try to throw at the sticks, but how much do you trust your field goal kicker and what's his range could determine the play call here for this offense.
Bowen is your back in the backfield. Pressure comes. Garwood will be swarmed under. He tries to get some yardage back, but he's brought down outside the 35-yard line.
That's a big win for Oscar Smith because now it's 4th and long. You want to see them punt the football, but yeah, they're going to send their punt team out there. And so now you have a situation where you can get the ball back with all your timeouts. Just a great job collapsing the pocket. It's about push versus pressure. They didn't fly up the field, create a lane for him to squirt through. They collapsed that pocket around him, really started to smother him in the pocket and force that sack.
And so some confusion on the Colonial Forge sideline. It looks like they were going to try that field goal and didn't have a guy out there, as I think there was a miscommunication. Didn't know if they were going to go field goal or they were going to go with a punt. Here's the thing I will say, Emery. I believe in high school football rules, a missed kick into the end zone on a field goal goes to the 20, not to the spot. That was the rule. I believe that is still the rule. So that may be their thinking here because this is a 54-yard kick.
If he makes a 54-yard kick, he might have to bypass college and go to the pros. Because we see pro kickers miss kicks like this every Sunday.
They'll spot it at the 53. Snap, hold, kick is up. Redding's got a lot of boot on it, but he is going to miss that one to the right. So Oscar Smith will get the ball back. And as I believed, and I'm right, that ball will go to the 20-yard line. So that's the one difference between college, the pros, and high school. That's a risk worth taking where Redding put all he could into it, almost made it, and you're still putting Smith down at their 20.
That's a heck of a job. That ball had the distance, just didn't have the accuracy. So we now know he can hit a 54-yarder. But you're right. Why would you punt in that situation if the ball is going to end up at the 20 anyway? So just great coaching right here. Big series here for Oscar Smith.
Kelly in the shotgun, hands off, and swarmed under in the backfield is Wilson. Gets back to the line of scrimmage and no more. Here's the question, Emery. I wonder if you're Oscar Smith, for two reasons. Don't want to give the ball back, but two, how much of the offense, the hurry up, does Kelly know how fast they're going to try and go here?
Exactly.
2nd and 9. Kelly, he's going to look to run now. Still on his feet. Has no receivers, breaking deep. Again gets away from a man, and now he'll be brought down back at the 15-yard line. And he's kind of writhing around in pain a little bit, and now it looks like Colonial Forge will start taking their timeouts.
That's the smart thing to do, because if you're a receiver, you see your quarterback, you got to start working your way back to the ball.
Let's break this one down first, Emery. Like you said, don't really see the Oscar Smith receivers helping out Kelly.
Yeah, everyone's just watching the defenders rush, and he's doing a great job in escaping everyone, waiting for someone to show their face. Ideally, you want him to throw that football away once he gets outside the pocket, but as a receiver, you got to come back and help your quarterback. And now you put yourself in a situation where if you're Colonial Forge, you have a great chance to get this ball back. Plus, your special teams is great at blocking kicks.
Here's the thing. That was an Oscar Smith timeout. That, to me, is kind of amazing. The referees pointed Oscar Smith's way. If I'm Smith, I'm letting this thing run out at this point, because in overtime, I think they have the advantage. They have the momentum. They have the better straight-ahead run game than Colonial Forge does. And in high school in Virginia, it's 4 plays from the 10. It's not like college. It's not like the NFL. So let's see if that comes back and bites Smith in the rear end. Kelly facing a 3rd and 14. Needs to get it out to the 30-yard line, just past for a first down. He's going to try and take off running. Now he's going to look to find a man. As he throws it over the middle, it'll be caught and stopped for a minimal gain as Surratt came up to make the play, and now Bill Brown's going to take a timeout as they finally see him. And you're going to put Oscar Smith in a situation they got to punt this one away.
They have to punt this football away against this special teams unit that has played flawless in this ball game. Can they get pressure to force a bad punt or even get back there and block the punt and put their offense in a great spot to win the game?
Yeah, it's funny, Emery. I thought that was Bill Brown taking the first time out, as we'll see the play here. And again, just Kelly trying to keep the play alive, and his receivers maybe not helping him out as much as he would like, and finds a guy over the middle, and Surratt easily makes the tackle. So here we go. Surratt's going to go back deep, and he's the guy, Mr. Do-Everything for Colonial Forge. On the season, he's got 2 return touchdowns, 1 in punt, 1 in kickoff. Attar will punt it away.
Protection has to be excellent here because it looks like they're coming.
Man jumps off sides for Colonial Forge. That was the defensive end, Randall. Bill Brown looking. They will say offsides. This is not enough to give Oscar Smith a first down, though.
Yeah, he fell for the shift right there. He saw the entire offensive line shift down into a 3-point stand as opposed to a 2-point stance. Now with 4th and inches, you don't want to back off and say, okay, we'll just let them punt the football. And it looks like they're going to go for it here.
Wow. So a very gutsy call by Scott Johnson, as you're basically, if you don't get this, you're in field goal range for Colonial Forge. Kind of a quick change around. Let's see if they can get the play off in time. And again, movement up front, but nobody goes. Kelly trying to get him to jump off sides, it looks like. And he'll go, and he's hit. And does he get it? He's going to push forward at the last second, and I think he gets the first down. Now a flag goes up. So depending on who that's on, that could change things completely, or what it's on. Wow, this is a huge conference. And it looks like it's going to be on Colonial Forge. So that will make it, instead of Oscar Smith just trying to run the clock out, they may go for this thing. Wow, personal foul on Colonial Forge.
Watch the fullback. He jumps off. He jumped offside initially, a false start initially. The refs didn't call that, and they thought he maybe reset himself in the backfield, but I thought that initial movement was a false start. They missed that. They decided to go for it, and then they also get the 15-yard penalty tacked on, so this puts them in a great situation.
Huge mistakes for Colonial Forge. Kelly's going to keep, gets outside the first man, and he goes out of bounds, almost got through that tackle at the 50. Just 2 huge mistakes by Colonial Forge, jumping off sides on the punt where Oscar Smith, with their somewhat shaky punt team, was willing to give you the ball back. You jump off sides then, and they get the first down, probably just run the clock out after that. You face mask and now give them great field position to try and get into field goal range. They'll run it. Here's Wilson, cuts it back. Great play there by Louisant to make the tackle.
Once again, you're not going to get outside against this defense. None of their outside running game has worked so far in this contest. So it's a big 3rd down here. 44 seconds left in the game.
Again, so much the inside of this, as we'll see the play again as they hand off to Wilson. Good pursuit again by Louisant, one of the best linebackers in the area.
Yeah, he was able to duck underneath and really redirect and make that play.
So the strategy of this one now, you wonder where Oscar Smith goes, because of the fact that if you give Forge the ball back, in this spot. One completion, they got a shot at a field goal. It'll be interesting to see. Plenty to go before that. And then even, I think, Emory, if they get close, if you're Forge, you call a timeout to let the clock run and then put it back over on Scott Johnson on the other side of things. Chess match between two good coaches, the Hall of Famer Bill Brown and Scott Johnson, who pretty much admits, he said, look, if not for our former coach Bill D getting sick, coming back earlier, they asked me to stay on last year. Coach D did, because I knew been in this program for a long time. I decided to. Coach D gets sick. They need a new coach. I've been in the program. I'd head coach before. Probably I might have been retired, but now I'm still here kind of because of some circumstances. And now his team maybe a score in regulation away from going to a third straight state championship.
Fittingly, we're at the 50-yard line. This game could go either way, right?
You said it, partners. They've just reset the clock to 47 seconds. It's a little more time. 3rd and 6 as Kelly in the shotgun with 5 receivers. Pressure comes, middle screen incomplete. He was looking for his wideout, Brandon Brock, but skips out of his hands.
That may be a blessing in disguise, because now you really don't have to make a bad decision as far as, like, do we go for it or not. Quick pressure dictated the throw. You saw 2 guys running. You saw a guy coming in on a short cross, almost like a slip screen, and the guy right behind him that the ball ricocheted off. How much you want to bet Coach preach to them, don't jump off sides, watch the ball.
And it's tough because, again, this Oscar Smith team, you probably might want to send a punt block, but you can't give them another chance to get a first down. Tar gets it away. Tail wagger, Surratt is going to take it at his 10-yard line. Acevedo can't make the tackle. Surratt's still on his feet, and now he'll be pushed out of bounds. Almost gets late hit. Very lucky for Oscar Smith that guy missed. If he didn't, that'd be 15 yards the other way.
He made the first guy miss, but he took too long to try to make that second guy miss. You just want to make that decision and get out of bounds, save as much time as possible on the clock. But good contain right there by that up man. That's a very tough job to have. They didn't allow him to turn that corner. Right
there, Acevedo came by, and I think if he squares him up, that might be 15 yards, but kind of glanced by, and the referees kept the flag in the back pocket. And it looks like Colonial Forge, they'll go to overtime gladly as Garwood takes a knee. And that will send us to an extra session. Emory, 48 minutes, not enough to decide this one. We're going to get some extra football.
Got to get bonus football as the crowd groans that they decide to go for.
We call a timeout. So Oscar Smith, despite the fact that really they couldn't stop the clock enough. So Colonial Forge will take one more snap here, and then they'll take another knee, and we'll head to an extra session. Wow. Again, this one, a very interesting game, low scoring in the first half, just a 3-3 halftime score. Then back-to-back touchdown passes from Ethan Garwood to Zach Kendall gave the Eagles a 17-3 lead. But then Oscar Smith went ahead, substituted quarterback Dom Brooks, took him out as he was hobbling, brought in Cameron Kelly, who he had split time with earlier in the season. Kelly comes in, leads 2 touchdown drives. Colonial Forge had a chance for a go-ahead field goal with about 3 minutes to go, but couldn't get it to go through. Oscar Smith gets advantage of a couple miscues on special teams from Colonial Forge to get in position, had a chance to get in the field goal range, couldn't do it, and we go to overtime. Emory, boy, this has been a fun game.
I feel like every time we do high school games, chaos always happens. We had it last year in D.C. I just feel like every time we're together, we have all kind of chaos. This was a great game that now we get to see more of in overtime.
And let's send it down to Matt.
Thanks, Jeremy. As we head to overtime, a note on first-year head coach Scott Johnson. He at Oscar Smith this year was named Coach of the Week by the Washington Redskins. And one of the reasons for that was that he incorporated yoga into his players' workouts. That he said that they would have half the team in the weight room, the other half doing yoga, the importance of working out, building the muscle, but also staying flexible. And I bet both of these coaches could go for a little yoga right now.
Let's take a look at our second half highlights, and this looked like it would get Oscar Smith going as Acevedo had the long kickoff return, Emery.
Set him up in great field position on the plus side of the 50. He hit that lane pretty quickly from Jump Street and set them up really good, but turnovers once again reared its ugly head in the second half.
Very similar to the first half, a special teams play for Oscar Smith. They give it right back as Ian Ector had the big kickoff return as they would set them up in great field position. But then, unlike the time previous, it would be Colonial Forge getting the score after that sack, 3rd and long, but Garwood would make a play as he would find Zach Kendall in the end zone.
Great job right there. Wouldn't be the last time we call his name in the second half as far as touchdowns are concerned.
So that would put the first touchdown of the game. And then again, Brooks would be in, and you could see just he seemed to get more and more hobbled as the game went on. That time, Shinsky with the big sack. Brooks again would try and go deep. Again, a nice play by Ector to knock that one away from Etheridge. And special teams for Colonial Forge would come up big there as they partially tipped the punt instead of blocking it, but still sets them up in good field position. And eventually they would cash this one in, again going to Kendall.
Yeah, Kendall was able to outrun the defense to the end zone. Stepped up big in the second half, and they're going to need him in this overtime period. But you saw special teams, you saw turnovers have an immediate impact early in that second half.
But then Cameron Kelly would come in, and the show would begin as we would see this. Finally a run threat from the quarterback spot, and it seemed to open up the offense. That time, Khalid Wilson getting in for the score would make it 17-10. Colonial Forge, big play here as they would find Bowen for the long pass on the screenplay. Got them in position, but then that offensive line break down a little bit, and really the defensive line for Oscar Smith would find a huge play there to knock him out of field goal range.
Yeah, start to stabilize it, and you start to see both teams really meet in the middle of the field because it was tuck and go for a long time in the second half. You see right there the big open down the middle of the defense. That's where they had a lot of success running the football, had Oscar Smith, and that really carried them inside the red zone and into the end zone.
That was Khalid Wilson on that long run. He would get in the end zone again. So really, both teams with the same touchdown scorers. Kendall with 2 touchdown grabs, Wilson with the 2 touchdown runs. You would see the Colonial Forge get their passing game going a little bit. A couple of quick slants, things like that, get something. But again, a big sack on a 3rd down would move them back. And this would be key, as it would be lining up there Jaden Redding, their all-region kicker, and he would just miss on a 53-yard field goal. A little closer, he might bang that through.
Yeah, they say football is a game of inches, and that sack I thought was the play of the second half because what we're seeing now and where we are now is a direct result of that that sack and that missed kick.
And we would see finally Colonial Forge find a way to get Kelly down. That was a huge play there. About a minute left in the game as Oscar Smith was going to have to punt it back. Instead, they go for it on a 4th down, get it, run some more time. Forge doesn't have enough time to do anything. And so now we've had our coin toss. We see your stats, and really stats-wise, this is one's been dominated by Oscar Smith. Just no rushing game to speak of for Colonial Forge, and that is huge. Again, when you go 4 plays from the 10-yard line, really the run game kind of has to be part of your repertoire because of that condensed field, Emery.
First half, they were 0 for 5 on 3rd down, Oscar Smith. Second half, they were 3 of 9. So that was the big improvement they made in the second half, which is why they were able to fight their way back into that ball game. And we talked about it all throughout the broadcast, the inability to run the football for Colonial Forge. Can they get some semblance of a ground game going? Again, you're going to be at the 10-yard line, you get 4 cracks. Something's got to give. At some point, you got to have the push up front to get these guys off the spot.
So four downs from the 10-yard line. Team that has the highest total after the first series of this, they win. If they end up tied, they go to another one. Of course, coin toss was won by Oscar Smith, so they elect to go defense first, so they'll know what they're going for when they get the ball on the second half of this series. Movement up front by Oscar Smith, and that's a big start for Colonial Forge.
You hate when your defensive line jumps offside because you're standing right there by the ball. Why do you guys jump offside?
You know what? You would say I've been over top of that ball as a defensive lineman, and boy, that quarterback's voice is awful inviting sometimes. This changes things up. Now 4 plays from the 5 for Colonial Forge. Oscar Smith, they're jumping around in the defensive backfield saying, and I believe Dennis jumped off sides. Official doesn't make that call. Now Dennis moves in almost to a wing. They'll flip it out to Cawthon, trying to get to the outside. He's hit, stays on his feet, and ends up banged out of bounds. Let's see where they say he stepped out at the 4. Looked like he might have gotten down to the 3, but they were all over that play. But if not for the athleticism of Cawthon, that's a 5-yard loss.
We saw Cawthon get a lot of carries early in this game, and he was breaking a ton of tackles. We hadn't seen him in this capacity since, and I think going back to him in this situation, I think it's more advantageous to their ground game getting back started.
So now, looks like they're having trouble getting lined up. May have to take a timeout here, as I think they're under 10 seconds on the play clock. Garwood, he'll roll, trying to find an open man. Does he? It is incomplete. A flag goes down. Let's see what they call. Pass was intended for Rodier, and now it looks like this is going to go against Colonial Forge.
Yeah, the center right there, number 72, is in the end zone. Just lost track of where he was blocking.
It's a huge play and a big decision here for Scott Johnson, as he has to figure out, does he decline it? They're actually going to decline this and take the 3rd and 5.
Interesting.
Oh, they're going to push him back, it looks like. I thought they went decline.
Okay, I was about to say, you don't want to push him back. I mean, you don't want to take that penalty, decline it, and have him sit right there at the 5.
Well, the ball only goes back to the 9, so it's still 2nd down. I think the one thing you may wonder about, because they're a passing team, they haven't been able to run the ball at all, did you say, hey, let's go ahead and take the down off the board to give them 3 cracks as a passing team? But here it is, kind of a tight formation now. Garwood out in the flat. It's completed to get back to the 5-yard line as Kendall makes the grab. But now 3rd and goal from the 5.
But this time they rolled out to the short side of the field and continue with their short passing game. Garwood fired a rocket in there for the completion. And again, these 2 passing plays we've seen in overtime have been rollouts. So we'll see if they get him on the move once again in this 3rd down.
Again, Colonial Forge taking their time here. Obviously a no-huddle type team, so they're used to getting the play off quick if they need to. Garwood flushed, trying to move traffic. It'll be brought down back at the 10-yard line. Huge play there. Coming up to make the play was Malcolm Britt.
It's an excellent job right there by Britt. We've talked about their linebacking core all game long, and Britt is going to fly up from the secondary and make the stop. And again, that's a good sack to take. I'd rather them take that sack as opposed to trying to force a ball in the end zone, which could get intercepted.
So Redding will come on for the field goal. It'll be spotted at the Colonial Forge 18-yard line, so a 28-yarder. I'll bring a man in motion.
Never seen that.
Down, kick is up, and the kick is good. Flag goes down. They'll say illegal procedure or maybe illegal shift, so they'll have to kick it again from 5 yards back.
Maybe a little too creative right there with that field goal formation.
Well, they let him kick, so that has to be a legal formation, right?
Right, it has to be a legal formation.
It's interesting, because it was a wing I thought was the one that moved over. Surratt in the game. He's a wing. Let's see if there's something tricky going on here.
They noticed it too.
Here's the kick. And this one again goes through, so Redding shakes it off to put his team up by 3, but Oscar Smith, it's in their hands right now. A touchdown sends them to a third straight state title game and a third straight matchup with Westfield.
Can they stop Cameron Kelly will be the biggest key to victory for Colonial Forge. That's been the biggest X factor in the second half. Going to Kelly has really energized this offense, and that's the added element that you didn't have to worry about in the first half.
So Kelly leads him out. Khalid Wilson next to him in the shotgun. Pitch it out to him. Cuts it back. Still on his feet as he goes across the 5-yard line. Mark him down just across it, so nice gain on first down.
Great play right there because, again, you're using the vision of the running back. Patient. Let everyone flow to the outside. You cut it back against the grain and get that thing inside the 5-yard line down at the 4.
So second down and goal. Again, a handoff, and this time he's hitting the backfield as Colonial Forge was ready for him. Wilson brought down for a loss.
Yeah, I was just about to comment about their downhill running game and how successful it's been. But good job by Colonial Forge just getting off blocks, beating guards to the spot and getting into the backfield and making the stop. So great defensive play, great effort play right there by the front 7.
So here we go. Third and goal from at the 7-yard line, and Oscar Smith will take a timeout. So, again, Oscar Smith looking for a third straight state championship appearance. Lost the last 2 to Westfield. Colonial Forge would be their first state title game appearance. Of course, 2014, one of their rivals, Ocean Lakes, one of Oscar Smith's, won the state championship under one of my good friends, Chris Scott, one of my former college teammates, now at one of the private schools down in Virginia Beach. With Barack Obama, John Kerry held town halls at Oscar Smith.
Fun factoid right there.
So here we go. Third and goal from the 6.
For a run-pass option here for Kelly.
Could very well see that. Watson, the bigger back, is in the game. Kelly rolls at the goal line and brought down. And again, it's Ian Ector as he stops Wilson just short of the goal line.
Ector has played his way into the conversation for player of the game. This is a guy that has stepped up big time, created 2 turnovers, and now with a great tackle in space. That play had touchdown written all over it, flying up from the secondary. Great one-on-one tackle in space against the big back in the backfield.
So interesting here. We said before, some struggles early for Oscar Smith in the kicking game, but been pretty good since then. It's on the near hash. Atara will come out and kick the field goal as that ball actually was spotted back at the 2, it looks like, Emory. And now looks like Oscar Smith doesn't have enough guys on the field. And will Oscar Smith take a timeout or delay?
Delay a game.
Might actually be not the worst play for them.
Yeah, get some better angle at the 8-yard line, looks like.
Yeah, not the good job by the Oscar Smith coaching staff, not really to panic. So now, though, just like if it was possibly a fake or something else, it won't be anymore. And again, it looks like still having some issues getting lined up.
You might have to take a timeout here.
I don't know if they have any left. It's like 10 seconds, so should have enough time to get this off. Attar lines it up. Snap, hold, kick is up, and the kick is good. He just gets it inside, and Attar couldn't be happier as he's dancing along at the 40-yard line as he just snuck it in and extends this game.
He earned that one, man, because that offensive line started to collapse inside out, and I thought it was going to get blocked. You see right there, good initial push coming on the outside and just missed it.
They never call holds on extra points, but that one might have been warranted, as it looks like one of the maybe second guy down for Colonial Forge had gotten in and completely gotten taken down by one of the offensive linemen, as he might have blocked that kick.
I listen.
You're speechless.
I'm speechless. You tend to think you can do everything on the football field except kick. In that situation, that pressure situation, how do you maintain focus and kick that football? Impressive.
All right, so in the second, as we'll get into our rules again, the Colonial Forge, of course, opened in 1999. Plenty of success. State championships in boys basketball, girls basketball, and wrestling, but looking for one in football, and they need to stop here, or at least to score if Oscar Smith scores. So now teams switch their possessions. Oscar Smith goes first. Colonial Forge will go second. They pitch it out. Wilson trying to get to the outside. He's hit and brought down at around the 7-yard line.
You know what's interesting to me? If this wasn't from the 10-yard line, I would say that they're setting up that pitch pass.
Yep.
Because it looks like it's, patient, and then they're trying to pop it over top. But at some point, they're going to sneak that guy down the sideline. He's going to be open for a touchdown.
Here's Kelly, hands it off to Wilson. He bangs forward. He's close, but I think he's just short. They will say he's down about the 1-inch line, as he just couldn't reach that ball over to get it in.
Now this is where you bring in those big guys, extra beef coming inside onto the interior. You bring in your fullback, and you're going to lean on those guys just to straight beat the guy in front of them and push this into the end zone to make Colonial Forge go for a touchdown, or have to score a touchdown.
3rd and goal, just off the goal line. Sneak, push from behind, and he is in. Touchdown, Oscar Smith. And that time, Horace Sawyer, the fullback. In the old days, you couldn't do it. You can now. Gives him the big push and gets him into the end zone.
I thought they may have started a little bit early, but the fullback, once again, I thought moved a hair before the snap. The refs didn't see it. Got the touchdown. They have to make the all-important extra point. And if you're Colonial Forge, you're already diagramming plays that you have to have in hand and in store to tie this ball game up.
So Attar back on. Again, Oscar Smith late running somebody on. Here's the kick. He slips, but he still puts it through and gives Oscar Smith a 27-20 lead.
Big time special teams play by Oscar Smith, stepping up big in this situation. You know, this game has been all about special teams. We've seen great kickoffs, we've seen punt blocks, field goal blocks, extra point blocks, and now we find ourselves in overtime, and the kickers are really stepping up and making plays.
So Oscar Smith with the touchdown and extra point there. Colonial Forge has to score, has to get 7 to extend it. We shall see if they decide to go for 2. Unlike college, there's no forced going for 2. You can kick extra points all day long. But they need 6 first. All passes on the last series for Colonial Forge. They'll go to the air again, and they can't find Dennis, and then he takes a submarine hit for his troubles from Harrell.
Yeah, they went to that well multiple times in this ball game. Quick speed out, but good job defensively coming up and just hit him right on the leg.
So tough losing a great player like Dennis, but it does give Colonial Forge a free timeout, if you will. Jeremy Huber and Emery Hunt high above the action here in Stafford, Virginia. And Emery, boy, this has been one heck of a football game, a really worthy one to decide a state title representative.
Yeah, and I was worried about the sun going down and then it may have gotten colder, but it's been about the same temperature And so that doesn't affect either squad. We're going to see what team can really step up in the special teams department, because it seems as though the special teams has really risen to the occasion and could push this game to even more overtimes if we're not careful.
Well, I think at this point it's going to be incumbent upon that offense for Colonial Forge to find a way to get into the end zone and keep this one going, and then the all-important question, 1 or 2 after that. But they need 6 first.
A lot more at stake. If this is a regular season game, I'm all about team go for 2, but you got the championship game staring you right in the face. You got to play as long as you can. No one is ready for winter workouts.
Garwood throws the slant, has his man get inside the 5-yard line on the pass to Peyton Rodier. So gain of 5, but still a 3rd and goal from the 5. We talk about it all the time, Emory. Now the field getting a little compressed.
And that's why they go to their sprint right option a lot. You saw them do it a lot of times in the first half. You saw them do it these 2 series in overtime. Let's see if they go right back to it again, get the quarterback out on the move.
Johnny Walker, the DB, in. Garwood will take another sack. He loses the ball, and that will do it unless Colonial Forge comes out of the pile with it. Still trying to sort it out. No, they're going to say that is going to be Oscar Smith ball, and that will do it. So Oscar Smith on to a 3rd straight state championship as their defense comes up large again and forces the turnover to end the game.
You hate it for Colonial Forge and the quarterback because he's played so well. But those type of plays, what we talked about in the open, he has to protect the football. Key sack, key strip fumble, and just a great job by Oscar Smith battling back to tie this game, pushing it to overtime, and ultimately winning.
Yeah, definitely. And again, we'll take a look at the play here again as Oscar Smith, that defensive front, just pulls the ball loose.
He had it right there. They ran a nice little pivot route at the top of the screen. Could have got rid of that football quickly, but when he double clutched it, came right over, caused a fumble, and those big paws were able to jump right on it and recover it and end this game, and Oscar Smith moves on. Oscar
Smith rallying back from a 14-point second-half deficit to get the win as they beat Colonial Forge 27-20 in double overtime. Again, it'll be Westfield and Oscar Smith for a 3rd straight year facing off for a state championship. Westfield beat Woodbridge earlier today. Again, Oscar Smith, 3 different coaches, 3 different years, but again, the same result as we take a look at the play once again, Emory.
Right there, he double clutched and wanted to go to him, but good job staying active by that defensive line. That's been the biggest key of this game. That defensive line of Oscar Smith wasn't getting moved off the spot in the running game, and they came up big and closed out this contest in overtime.
And you see number 4 in the game, Johnny Walker, the standout defensive back. He had to come in for DJ Dennis, who was hurt, and you wonder maybe he gets that one. If that's Dennis, maybe he lets it go, trusting this receiver a little bit more. Instead, he held it, and Oscar Smith, just so good up front, end up with the huge play. Again, the teams shaking hands. And again, Oscar Smith, what a comeback by them, Emory.
What a comeback, because their offense really was non-existent in the first half. They couldn't get out of their own way. They make a quarterback switch at halftime. He comes in and plays exceptionally well, opens up the offense, and really was able to be the catalyst for them tying this game. And their defense, which has been consistent all throughout, stepped up big in the second half and also in overtime.
Yep, Cam Kelly coming on for a injured Don Brooks, someone ineffective due to the injury as well, and Kelly's legs kind of helping open up that Oscar Smith offense to end up getting the win. Let's take a look at our highlights. I believe these from overtime, and you see that was how the thing started off for Colonial Forge. There was some penalties, and there was a chance right there, but that was the man down field call, and eventually they would not be able to get in it. It would be Oscar Smith finding a way to get the stop, and then eventually Redding would boot it through on the long field goal after the penalty. And then Oscar Smith they would get shut down, though they would end up finding a way to get in. Again, stopping them, the Colonial Forge defense starting pretty well. And then, again, right here, you would see the great play by Hector, one of the many he had on the day.
Yeah, that was a big play right there, making that stop, forcing the field goal. But, again, the special teams were able to step up and make that play and make that kick. You saw I was speechless. So that was a common theme of this game, man, special teams.
And eventually, you would see right there Cam Kelly getting in, a little bit of help, legal help from Horace Sorer from behind, pushes him in. And eventually we would see Colonial Forge not get in. And let's go ahead and send it down to our Matt Present.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm here with Cameron Kelly, and really, you entering the game as a quarterback changed the game around.
Yes,
were you prepared for that role?
I practiced a little bit one day, but then I wasn't really prepared. But my coaches believe in me, and I believe in myself, and my teammates believe in me. They put it on my back, and we got it.
You guys were down 17-3 at one point. What was the mentality on the sideline? How did you guys stay in it?
They made a quarterback switch. I knew I had to get it back for my team. I love my team. They were fighting. They had a lot of heart. This team had a lot of heart. I have all respect for Colonial Forge. But at the end of the day, somebody has to go home and somebody has to go to the state championship, and my team's going to the state championship.
Yes, you are, and a couple of times going the past few years, you guys have lost in the state final. Now another chance to come back and win this time. What does that moment mean for you?
It's big time. It's big time. These guys deserve it. We've been here. We're going there for the third time, and we lost 2 times in a row, and we're going to bring it home this time. We got to.
Thanks so much for your time. Best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Cam. What a performance by him. And this Emory would be the one that ended up ending the game.
Push versus pressure, man. And, again, collapse in the pocket, really smothering the quarterback. He had nowhere to escape, and it ended up succumbing to the pressure on the inside, which caused a strip fumble.
Again, a huge play there by that Oscar Smith defense as they really got pressure all game long against a really good defensive front for this Stafford team, for this Colonial Forge team. And again, it was huge there as they end up getting the victory on that play. As Oscar Smith gets the win over Colonial Forge 27-20. Again, third straight state championship. The guy who authored that standing by with our Matt Present.
Coach, second half, you guys were down 17-3 at one point. You make a quarterback switch. What did it take to make that move and certainly pay it off?
We talked about it. Cam got reps early in the year. I mean, we weren't afraid to go to him. Dom was a little banged up, and, we wanted to really just give Cam a series and see if we could spark the offense a little bit. And he made a couple plays, and we were able to score and, got the ball back and put another one up there to tie it up.
What do you think the biggest difference was with him in the game at quarterback?
Just his competitive nature. I think he gives you that spark. He wants the ball in his hands, and he's a great athlete, and there's a reason why he's got a lot of offers.
You guys turned the ball over several times, missed a few field goals, but it seemed like you never gave up, certainly didn't here at the end. What was the mentality on the sideline, guys staying in it the whole way?
These kids won't give up. I mean, they're going to play 48 minutes. They're really competitive. And, they knew they had to play hard today to earn another 48 minutes. And that's what we've talked about all year. We just, we wanted to be able to play in December and get a rematch at that state final game.
Thanks so much for your time, Coach. Best of luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Jeremy, Henry, back up to you.
Thank you much, Matt. Scott Johnson in his first season takes Oscar Smith to a third straight state title game. They'll look for some better luck this time as they'll take on Westfield next week in the VHSL Class 6A state championship game. Matt Present for Emory Hunt, I'm Jeremy Huber, and for everybody that brought you this broadcast today, thank you so much for watching here on the NFHS Network. Good night, everybody.